Picture this. You wake up, look in the mirror, and instead of doubt, you hear strength. Instead of fear, you hear focus. Imagine starting your day with words that don't tear you down, but build you up. Words that remind you of who you are, what you're capable of, and where you're going. But here's the truth. Most people speak to themselves in ways they would never speak to someone they love. They repeat their failures. They magnify their flaws. They carry shame like it's a permanent identity. What if, for just 3 days, you spoke to yourself like someone you're rooting for? What if your inner voice wasn't your enemy, but your coach, your guide, your ally? The way you talk to yourself is the foundation of everything. It shapes your confidence, your discipline, your ability to keep going when things get hard. If your mind is a battlefield, your words are the weapons. And right now, they're either wounding you or making you unstoppable. In this video, you're going to discover how to change the conversation in your head. You'll learn Stoic techniques to speak with clarity, power, and purpose. These aren't cheesy affirmations. They're ancient tools tested by emperors, sharpened by hardship, and designed to make you emotionally unbreakable. So get ready, because once you speak like this for 3 days, your life will never sound the same again. Before we begin, do one thing for yourself. Type this in the comments. For the next 3 days, I will speak to myself with strength. I am Stoic. It's not just a comment, it's a new agreement with your mind. Say it, own it, and let's begin. Number 1. This thought is not me, it's just visiting. There's a moment, quiet but powerful, where a thought enters your mind. Maybe it's self-doubt, maybe it's fear, maybe it's that old voice again telling you you're not good enough, not ready, not capable. Most people, without realizing it, grab that thought and wear it like a name tag. This is me, they think. This fear is mine. This sadness is who I am. This anxiety belongs here. But that's not the Stoic way, and it doesn't have to be your way either. You are not every thought that passes through your head. You are the one who observes the thoughts. That's where your power begins. When you say, "This thought is not me, it's just visiting," something strange and beautiful happens. You stop being controlled by the thought. You stop reacting to it. You stop believing it's permanent. You start watching it, calmly, as if it's a cloud passing through the sky of your mind. Marcus Aurelius said it best. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That includes the power to decide what thoughts are allowed to stay and which ones don't deserve your attention. This phrase, "It's just visiting," is not just a cute saying. It's a shield. It protects you from the trap of identification. It helps you build space between who you are and what your mind says. Try this. The next time a negative thought enters your head, pause. Say the line out loud if you can. This thought is not me, it's just visiting. And then look at it. Ask, what is this thought trying to say? Where did it come from? Do I have to believe it? You'll feel the grip of that thought start to loosen, because the moment you observe it, instead of becoming it, you reclaim your power. This practice isn't magic, but after 3 days of doing it, something inside shifts. You become more emotionally stable. You stop spiraling so quickly. You recognize old patterns before they take hold. Thoughts that once created storms now pass by like wind through trees, noticed but not feared. Let's say you wake up and your first thought is, "Today is going to be hard." Pause. You could absorb that thought and let it shape your whole day. Or you could step back. Say it again. That thought is not me, it's just visiting. Maybe it came from yesterday's stress, maybe from someone else's bad mood, maybe it's just noise. But it's not your identity, it's not your truth. So you let it knock on the door, and then you let it go. The Stoics didn't avoid pain. They didn't pretend bad things didn't exist, but they refused to let every passing feeling control them. They trained their minds to separate what they felt from what they were. Epictetus taught, "It's not things that upset us, but our judgments about them." And judgments come from thoughts. Change how you judge a thought, and you change how it affects your life. Even emotions like anger or jealousy lose their hold when you treat them as visitors. Instead of saying, "I'm angry," say, "Anger is visiting me." See the difference? One makes you the emotion, the other makes you the observer, and the observer always has the power to choose their next move. And yes, some thoughts will keep returning. They're stubborn. They've been living rent-free in your mind for years, but if you keep answering them the same way, "You're not me, and you don't get to stay," eventually they stop trying to move in. They might still knock, but they won't take control. That's the transformation Stoicism offers. So for the next 3 days, talk to your thoughts like this, not with fear, not with shame, but with calm authority. The same way a wise teacher responds to a rowdy student, not by fighting them, but by showing them they don't control the room. That's you now. You are the one who decides who stays in your mind. You are the host. They are just visitors. And when your mind starts to flood with self-criticism, anxiety, or doubt, pause and speak it. This thought is not me. It's just visiting. Say it again if you need to. Whisper it, write it, repeat it until your mind understands that not everything inside it belongs to you. Because the truth is, you were never the storm. You were the sky. The storm was only passing through. Number 2, am I choosing this or am I repeating this? There's a quiet moment right before every action, a sliver of time that most people ignore. It's the moment between impulse and movement, between thought and behavior. And inside that space is one of the most powerful questions you can ever ask yourself. Am I choosing this, or am I just repeating this? Every day, people wake up and move through life like a script is already written. They scroll their phones first thing in the morning, not because they want to, but because they always do. They rush through breakfast, check their emails, fall into the same habits, conversations, complaints, never realizing that none of it is actually being chosen. It's just being repeated over and over, without thinking, without questioning, without living. But a Stoic doesn't move blindly. A Stoic stops and looks. They pause before acting and ask themselves, is this truly my decision, or is it just my default? Because what you repeat unconsciously becomes your life. Your days form your habits. Your habits form your identity. And the difference between the person who changes and the person who stays stuck is one thing: awareness. So tomorrow morning, before you do anything, before you check your notifications, reach for caffeine, dive into your tasks, whisper to yourself, what I'm about to do, is it chosen or is it conditioned? That one question holds the power to wake you up, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually. Let's say you're about to argue with someone. Ask yourself, am I choosing to respond this way, or is this just how I've always reacted? You'll feel the gap widen between the moment and your next move, and in that gap is freedom. You can choose silence instead of shouting, curiosity instead of judgment, stillness instead of chaos. Or maybe you're about to skip the gym again. You've done it a dozen times, but this time, pause. Am I choosing to rest, or am I repeating avoidance? The question pulls you out of the automatic and back into awareness. And with awareness, you get your power back. The Stoics were masters of this. Epictetus taught that every external thing, money, status, comfort, is meaningless if you've lost the ability to choose your own thoughts and actions. He said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life." But freedom doesn't start outside. It starts with the discipline to interrupt your patterns. Try this for 3 days. Every time you catch yourself doing something, say it quietly. Am I choosing this, or am I repeating this? You'll start to see how much of your day is pre-programmed, not by fate, but by habit. And more importantly, you'll begin to rewrite it. Because the moment you ask that question, you return to the present. You stop letting your past dictate your future. That's how a Stoic breaks the loop, not by doing something drastic, but by becoming conscious again, by talking to themselves before the world starts talking to them, by treating every act, no matter how small, as something that matters. Even small choices begin to transform. Eating with intention, speaking with clarity, sitting with purpose. All because you dared to ask yourself a question most never think to ask. So ask it, again and again, in the quiet of the morning, in the middle of a decision, in the heat of emotion. Ask it until it becomes a voice that cuts through the noise. Is this my choice or my routine? Is this power or programming? Because repetition without awareness is not discipline, it's drift. And a Stoic doesn't drift, they direct. Every step, every action, every word, they walk awake, they act with reason, and they live by choice. So for the next 3 days, before you make a move, pause, breathe, and speak. Am I choosing this, or am I repeating this? And in that pause, you'll find something most people never will: control. Number 3, let's respond, not rehearse. There's a moment when your mind starts spinning, not with solutions, but with imaginary conversations, arguments that haven't happened, comebacks you'll never say, scenarios that may never arrive, and yet there you are, pacing inside your own skull, preparing for battles that don't even exist. Sound familiar? Most people live half their lives in rehearsal mode. They rehearse what they'll say if they're insulted. They rehearse what they'll do if they fail. They rehearse how they'll defend themselves, justify themselves, prove themselves, and none of it is happening. Not yet, maybe not ever, but their nervous system doesn't know the difference. It tightens, it prepares, it burns energy, and all of it completely wasted. A Stoic sees this trap and steps out of it, because the Stoic doesn't live in rehearsals, they live in responses. They understand this simple truth. Real life doesn't happen in your imagination. It happens here, in this moment. So they train their mind to say, let's respond, not rehearse. It's a small sentence, but it holds massive freedom. Next time your mind starts scripting a conversation that hasn't happened, catch it. Don't judge it, just observe it. And gently remind yourself, this isn't real. I'll respond when it is. Just like that, your body relaxes, the tension fades. The need to win an invisible argument disappears. Let's be honest. How many hours have been lost imagining confrontations that never came? How many nights ruined by replaying the same thought over and over? And did any of it ever prepare you better than being fully present would have? Marcus Aurelius said, "Today I escaped anxiety." Or no, I discarded it because it was within me, in my own perceptions. That's the essence of this practice. Anxiety often isn't about what's happening. It's about what hasn't happened. It's about the fight your mind creates and then tries to win before the real world even shows up. So when you hear that voice in your head, gearing up for another mental dress rehearsal, pause. Say it softly, but firmly. Let's respond, not rehearse. Remind yourself that life doesn't need a performance. It needs presence. This isn't about being unprepared, it's about being appropriately prepared. You don't need a script for every conversation. You need clarity. You don't need to plan 30 versions of what might happen. You need strength to face what does happen, when it happens. The Stoic warrior sharpens their blade quietly, but they don't swing it until the enemy is real. Likewise, train your mind. Study your values. Know who you are. But don't waste your energy on fights that exist only in thought. That kind of rehearsal doesn't make you stronger. It makes you tired. It makes you tense. It fills your body with false alarms. Try it for 3 days. Whenever your mind starts rehearsing an argument, a worst-case scenario, a way to prove yourself, stop and ask, is this real? Is this happening now? And if it's not, say it again. Let's respond, not rehearse. Over and over, until your brain learns that safety doesn't come from control. It comes from presence. You'll notice the difference. Your breath will feel fuller. Your shoulders will drop. Your sleep will improve. Because a mind that isn't rehearsing is a mind that's finally resting. And when the moment does come, when that challenge actually arrives, you'll be ready. Not because you practiced every line, but because you practiced calm. Because you've learned the power of responding, not reacting. Of listening, not performing. Of being here, fully, without the noise of what might be. So say it again, especially when your thoughts try to pull you into the future. Let's respond, not rehearse. Because life is not a play. It's not a courtroom. It's not a movie script you have to edit to perfection. It's a moment-by-moment invitation to show up, be real, and handle what is, nothing more and nothing less. And a Stoic knows that's more than enough. Number 4. My life is too short for this thought. There's a kind of thought that sneaks in quietly, almost casually. An old argument, a petty insult, a tiny embarrassment from years ago that suddenly replays in your mind like it just happened. At first it seems harmless, just a passing memory. But then it lingers, it takes up space, it grows legs, and before long you're watering it with your attention, feeding it with emotion, rehearsing it, reliving it, as if it still matters. That's where a Stoic draws the line. Because while the world is full of distractions, the Stoic mind learns to protect its peace like sacred ground. And when that useless, unworthy thought tries to take root again, there's a simple phrase that clears it like a blade. My life is too short for this thought. Say it out loud. Say it gently. Say it with full conviction. Because it's not just a phrase, it's a declaration of value. A reminder that time is the one thing that cannot be earned back. And every second spent stuck in resentment, overthinking, jealousy, comparison, or mental drama is a second you've stolen from your future. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." This is not meant to scare. It's meant to sharpen. It brings clarity to the mind. Because when death is close, petty thoughts lose their power. Suddenly, what someone said about you, what you forgot to do, what didn't go your way, none of it feels worth carrying anymore. So why carry it now? Think of your mind like a garden. Every thought is a seed. Some grow into purpose, peace, strength. Others grow into weeds, distractions, ego, noise. If you don't pull them out early, they spread. And soon, the flowers in your garden get choked by bitterness and regret. So when you catch yourself obsessing over something small, something that drains you instead of builds you, pause. Ask, what is this thought costing me? What could I be doing with this mental energy instead? And then say it. My life is too short for this thought. It's not about denial. It's not pretending pain doesn't exist. It's choosing what gets to stay in your mental space. The Stoic understands that not every thought deserves your attention. Not every insult deserves a response. Not every opinion needs to be defended. Because your peace, your purpose, your energy, those are too precious to be thrown away for the sake of proving a point or revisiting a wound. Try this practice for 3 days. The moment you feel your mind slipping into the same old spiral, stop and speak. My life is too short for this thought. You'll feel the grip loosen. You'll feel your shoulders relax. You'll realize how much time has been wasted entertaining what doesn't serve you. You only get so many mornings, so many moments with the people you love, so many nights under the stars, and yet how many of those are silently stolen by thoughts that don't even matter a day later, let alone a year later? A Stoic doesn't let mental clutter define their life. They return again and again to the present, to what is real, to what is useful. And if a thought cannot offer growth, peace, or clarity, it doesn't belong. So say it often. When jealousy creeps in, when old drama resurfaces, when the voice of self-doubt tries to shout again, cut it off. With calm, with grace, with power. My life is too short for this thought. Let that be your filter. Let it protect your mind like a locked gate. Because your attention is a sacred currency. Spend it on what matters. Spend it on what frees you, and never again on the weeds that bear no fruit. The Stoic knows that to value life is to value thought, and to value thought is to know when to let go. Number 5. Let me witness, not wrestle. Some emotions don't knock before entering. They barge in. Anxiety, frustration, restlessness, that tightness in your chest, that racing mind, that edge in your tone. It shows up without warning. And the first instinct? Fight it. Push it away. Silence it. Wrestle it into submission. But the Stoic mind doesn't do battle with storms. It watches them pass. The moment you feel agitated, before you react, before you try to fix it, say this to yourself. Let me witness this emotion, not wrestle with it. Let those words become your posture. Because here's the truth, most never hear. The harder you fight an emotion, the stronger it becomes. Resistance is fuel. When you demand that your mind feel calm, you create more chaos. But when you allow the storm to be seen, just seen, it begins to lose its power. Marcus Aurelius, writing in his Meditations, never said, fight your anger. He said, observe it, understand it, don't be its slave. And that's the difference between wrestling and witnessing. One traps you, the other frees you. Next time irritation flares, pause. Don't speak, don't act, just notice. Watch the emotion like a cloud floating through your awareness. You're not the cloud, you're the sky it passes through. Sit with it, study it, ask, where did this come from? What is it trying to show me? But don't grab it, don't analyze it to death. Let it pass, like weather. This practice isn't weakness, it's strength without tension. It's presence without panic. It's what the Stoics called ruling your inner world, not with fists, but with eyes wide open. The mistake people make is believing peace means not feeling certain things, that to be strong, you must be unbothered, untouched, unaffected. But the Stoic knows strength isn't absence of emotion, it's non-attachment to emotion. It's the ability to feel something fully without becoming it, without being consumed by it. Try this for 3 days. When discomfort visits, don't tighten. Don't reach for a distraction. Don't argue with yourself. Just say, let me witness, not wrestle. Then breathe, slowly, deeply, stay still. You'll notice something beautiful. The emotion softens when it's not attacked. The mind settles when it's not forced to settle. The peace you were chasing by fighting begins to arrive by watching. This is emotional alchemy, turning struggle into awareness, transforming reactivity into resilience. And over time, your mind starts to learn. Not every wave needs to be stopped. Some just need to be seen. When a child cries, the worst thing you can do is shout at them to be quiet. But sit beside them, let them be heard, and soon they calm down. Your emotions are no different. They're messengers, not enemies. And the Stoic learns to listen without letting the message take over. You'll feel the change. Less volatility, less tension in the shoulders, less regret after emotional reactions. Because you've trained yourself to stand still while the storm passes rather than getting swept away by it. So repeat it again and again, especially in the heat of discomfort. Let me witness, not wrestle. And watch how something subtle begins to shift in you, not because you forced yourself to feel different, but because you gave yourself permission to feel without judgment. This is how the Stoic becomes calm, not by pushing emotions away, but by letting them come and go without fear, like a mountain letting the clouds roll past its peak, still, unmoved, a witness, not a warrior. That's the power you carry, not in controlling what shows up, but in choosing how you greet it. And sometimes, all it takes is 5 quiet words to stop an inner war. Let me witness, not wrestle. Number 6. What if this is happening for me? There are days that break your rhythm, a setback, a betrayal, an unexpected storm that flips your plans upside down. And in that moment, the natural question rises. Why me? It's a question soaked in frustration, in helplessness, in the belief that life is just something that happens to you. But the Stoic doesn't ask, why me? They ask something far more powerful. What for? Because buried inside every challenge is a gift, a lesson, a strength, a refinement of the soul. And when you start whispering to yourself, what if this is happening for me? Everything shifts. That single question transforms pain from punishment into purpose. It opens the mind to meaning. It reframes adversity as assignment. Seneca said, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. But most never feel that strength because they're too busy wishing the difficulty wasn't there. They don't talk to themselves like warriors. They talk like victims. But you're training to think differently. Try it. Next time something goes wrong, your plans fall apart, someone disappoints you, your expectations crash. Pause. Don't spiral. Don't complain. Don't sink into blame. Instead, say it softly. What if this is happening for me? Not to break you, not to hurt you, but to shape something deeper in you, a sharper awareness, a thicker skin, a clearer path, a reminder of what really matters. This isn't false positivity. It's philosophical strength. It's what the Stoics practiced every single day, turning obstacles into fuel. Marcus Aurelius faced war, betrayal, sickness, and still wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He didn't just endure hardship, he turned it into direction. When you speak to yourself this way, you rewire the brain. The mind, instead of shrinking from pain, begins to seek out the message inside it, and suddenly everything becomes useful. Even the heartbreak, even the delays, even the parts of life that once made you want to scream become teachers, guiding you toward greater clarity and strength. Try it for 3 days. Every inconvenience, every tough moment, every conversation that goes sideways. Whisper, "What if this is happening for me?" Ask, "What can I learn from this? What muscle is this moment asking me to grow? What is this shaping in me that I wouldn't have gained if everything went smoothly?" You'll begin to feel something shift. Where you once felt targeted, you'll feel entrusted. Where you once felt cursed, you'll feel challenged. And with every repetition, the old patterns of panic and blame dissolve, replaced by a steady mind that sees deeper than surface discomfort. The truth is, life is hard, but it's not just hard for the sake of being cruel. It's hard because it's training you for something higher, something that comfort could never offer. And when you choose to speak to yourself with that kind of dignity, you stop walking around with a victim's posture. You stand taller, not because life got easier, but because you got wiser. So say it again, especially when things feel unfair or overwhelming. What if this is happening for me? Let it echo through the discomfort. Let it burn through the confusion. Let it remind you that your life isn't random. It's a classroom, and every hard moment is a lesson disguised as a wall. A Stoic doesn't ask for an easier life. They ask for stronger eyes, eyes that can see meaning in the mess, eyes that can find direction in the detour, eyes that say, "This too has value. This too is mine to grow from." And when you speak like that, even pain becomes a partner, even failure becomes fuel, and life stops happening to you and starts unfolding for you. Number 7. I don't need to win this, just to master myself through it. The moment before stepping into a difficult conversation, a high-stakes meeting, a personal challenge, there's a rush that builds inside. The heartbeat quickens. The mind begins to calculate. How do I win this? How do I come out on top? How do I prove myself? That hunger to dominate, to be right, to get the result, it's instinctive. But it's also dangerous, because once the outcome becomes the obsession, the inner self starts to crumble. The Stoic sees this trap coming and chooses a different standard. I don't need to win this, just to master myself through it. This isn't weakness. This is the highest form of strength, because it means the external result no longer controls the internal state. Whether the challenge ends in your favor or not, you remain intact, whole, grounded, calm. Think of Epictetus, born a slave, owning nothing, yet possessing more peace than many emperors. Why? Because he measured success not by outcome, but by response. Not by winning the world, but by not losing himself in the process. Say it aloud before the pressure hits. I don't need to win, only to master myself through it. Let that become your armor. It protects you from desperation, from overreacting, from clinging to control. Because when the outcome owns your peace, you've already lost, even if you win. Let's say you're walking into a confrontation. Maybe someone's wronged you. Maybe you need to speak hard truth. The ego wants revenge. It wants the last word, the loudest voice, the final blow. But the Stoic wants discipline. They ask, can I stay composed while chaos knocks? Can I stay clear when provoked? Can I exit this moment with my values intact, no matter what they do? That's the real win. Because most people lose themselves trying to win the world. They shout, manipulate, threaten, scramble, overexert, then walk away exhausted, even if they got what they wanted. But what did it cost? Their peace? Their respect? Their clarity? This phrase, I don't need to win this, cancels the noise. It lets you move without tension. It makes room for strategy, not panic. It reminds you that self-mastery is the only outcome you ever fully control. And it's the only one that always delivers value, no matter what happens around you. Try it for 3 days. Whenever stakes feel high, before the exam, the interview, the argument, the goal, pause, breathe, whisper, I don't need to win, just to master myself through this. Say it until your heartbeat slows. Say it until your shoulders drop, until your focus shifts from them to you. You'll feel something powerful rise inside you, a kind of quiet strength. You're no longer playing by the world's scoreboard. You've created your own, and on it, integrity beats applause. Poise beats panic. Wisdom beats winning. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, fought wars, endured betrayal, and yet he wrote to himself daily, reminding his mind that the true battle was within. He never asked for a perfect outcome. He asked to remain upright, calm, and just, no matter the outcome. And you can do the same. Let the world play its games. Let others chase trophies. You chase mastery. Of your tongue, of your tone, of your breath, of your values. Because when you do, the world no longer decides if you're victorious. You do. So say it again, especially when ego tries to take over. I don't need to win this. I just need to master myself through it. Let that be your compass, your anchor, your quiet revolution. Because in a world obsessed with conquering others, the Stoic chooses the rarest kind of conquest, conquering the self. Number 8. Let me be the calm, not the commentary. There's a subtle habit the mind picks up when things don't go as planned. A delay, a rude person, a broken expectation. And without realizing it, the inner narrator kicks in. This is ridiculous. I can't believe this. Why do people act like this? Suddenly, you're not just experiencing the moment. You're commentating on it, judging it, reacting to it with a storm of words, both out loud and in your head. But here's the problem. Commentary doesn't create clarity. It creates chaos. It pours fuel on the fire. It turns small annoyances into loud stories. It traps you inside your reaction. That's why the Stoic trains a different response. When the trigger hits, they say, let me be the calm, not the commentary. It's a shift in identity. You're not the voice that adds noise. You're the presence that brings stillness. You're not here to amplify frustration. You're here to absorb it without becoming it. You become the calm in the storm, not the storm's echo. Think of a crowded room where everyone's talking, arguing, reacting. Now imagine someone walks in and says nothing, but their presence is still, grounded, unshaken. That person becomes the most powerful voice in the room. Not because they talk more, but because they radiate what others have lost. Control. That's what you become when you repeat this phrase. The moment you feel triggered by someone cutting you off, by a message that rubs you wrong, by a comment meant to provoke, don't narrate it. Don't start feeding the fire with phrases like unbelievable or they always do this. Instead, catch yourself. Pause. Say it gently. Let me be the calm, not the commentary. You'll feel the temperature drop inside you. The emotion won't disappear, but it won't rule you either. You're no longer giving it a microphone. You're giving it space to breathe, and then to pass. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." What is commentary but a mental estimate of what's happening, twisted through the lens of ego and emotion? So stop estimating. Stop explaining. Stop building narratives around every irritation. Just be still. Be calm. Be the one who holds their posture when others crumble. That's Stoic power. Try this for 3 days. Every time you feel the urge to complain, overthink, or rant, even if just in your head, say, "Let me be the calm, not the commentary." Watch what happens. You'll start to reclaim mental space. Energy that was once used for complaining will now be used for clarity. Reactions that used to trigger you will fade like background noise. And the best part, people will notice. Not because you're louder, but because your silence carries weight. You'll walk into situations where others are rattled, and your calm will change the entire atmosphere. You won't just be different, you'll be undeniable. Because calm is rare. Commentary is everywhere. And while anyone can add to the noise, only a few can quiet it. So say it again when tension rises. Let me be the calm, not the commentary. Let it become your reset button, your anchor, your new default. Not everything needs your opinion. Not every reaction deserves a reply. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Number 9. I am not late. I am right on the edge of alignment. There's a certain kind of pressure that creeps in quietly, tightening your chest and speeding your thoughts. The feeling of being behind in life, behind in your goals, behind everyone else who seems to be moving faster, achieving more, reaching milestones you haven't touched yet. And in that state of inner panic, the mind whispers one loud lie. You're late. But the Stoic mind doesn't bow to the clock. It doesn't worship the timeline of others. It knows that life is not a race. It's a rhythm. That purpose unfolds not by force, but by timing. And so it repeats, like a grounding mantra. I am not late. I am right on the edge of alignment. Say it now. Let it land in your nervous system. Let it soften your breath. Because this isn't about giving up. It's about waking up to the truth that life is not measured by speed, but by synchronicity. Marcus Aurelius never said, "You must do it all now." He wrote instead, "No great thing is created suddenly." The Stoic understands that the fruit ripens when it's ready, that the arrow flies straight only when the bow is pulled with patience, that the right moment has a shape, and forcing yourself into it before you're ready only leads to frustration and misalignment. So when impatience strikes, when the job hasn't come, the relationship hasn't bloomed, the breakthrough hasn't shown up, pause. Don't spiral. Don't label yourself as behind. Instead, say it again. I am not late. I am right on the edge of alignment. And suddenly, the tension eases. Because now the waiting isn't dead time. It's preparation. It's refinement. It's everything inside you lining up to meet the moment fully, not prematurely. Try this for 3 days. Every time you feel that restless urge to rush, to force something, to push your timeline, to compare your pace, whisper, "This isn't delay. This is alignment preparing me." You'll begin to feel it, that subtle shift from pressure to peace, from doubt to trust, from "why not yet" to "maybe not yet" means not just yet. The Stoic doesn't wait passively. They prepare actively. They sharpen the mind, strengthen the heart, deepen their values, so that when the right moment comes, they don't just arrive, they fit. This mindset rewires everything. Suddenly, a closed door isn't rejection, it's redirection. A slower path isn't punishment, it's precision. You stop rushing toward life and start aligning with it. Because timing isn't always yours to control, but readiness is. And when you remind yourself, "I'm not behind, I'm becoming ready," even your slowest seasons begin to feel sacred. You'll notice the difference. Less anxiety, less comparison, more grace, more flow. Because what once felt like delay now feels like choreography, and you trust that your part will enter exactly when it's meant to, not one moment before. So when you feel like life is passing you by, don't feed that lie. Don't shrink. Don't hustle from a place of fear. Instead, stand tall, look time in the face, and speak it calmly and confidently. I am not late. I am right on the edge of alignment. Let that be your compass. Let it slow you down without stopping you. Let it remind you that some of the most powerful things in life, growth, healing, purpose, do not arrive on schedule. They arrive on alignment. And when they do, you won't be scrambling. You'll be ready. Not because you rushed, but because you trusted. Number 10. Let's not escalate. Let's elevate. There's a flicker in the air when conflict starts to rise. A tone shifts. A sentence stings. A misunderstanding crackles into tension. And just like that, the ego gets invited to the party. It wants to fight. It wants to be right. It wants to dominate, to correct, to defend. The moment is small, but the reaction, it can make it big, bigger than it ever needed to be. That's the danger of escalation. It takes seconds to start and days to undo. But a Stoic sees the invitation and declines it, not out of weakness, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. And in that pause they whisper to themselves, "Let's not escalate, let's elevate." It's more than a phrase. It's a redirection of energy, from reaction to reflection, from ego to awareness, from conflict to clarity. Because when you elevate, you rise above the instinct to match chaos with chaos. You don't shrink or run. You respond not to win, but to transform. Think of how much damage is done when people escalate. One word turns into a shouting match. A misunderstanding becomes a cold war. A glance becomes a grudge. All because no one stopped to speak to themselves first. But you're learning to pause, to breathe, to reframe the moment before it catches fire. Try this the next time someone comes at you sideways, whether it's a partner, a coworker, a stranger online. Instead of sharpening your words, soften your mind. Say it. Let's not escalate. Let's elevate. It doesn't mean you let people walk over you. It means you don't let them pull you down to the level where logic disappears. Elevation is strength with direction. It's standing tall when others crouch low. Seneca said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." The Stoic doesn't get tricked into instant reactions. They turn arguments into classrooms. They ask, "What is this trying to teach me? What part of me is being poked here? What would the highest version of myself say right now?" And suddenly, the conflict becomes a mirror, a space for maturity, a test of control, a way to practice everything you claim to believe about patience, about strength, about composure. Try this practice for 3 days. When the tension rises, internally or externally, don't react out of habit. Whisper instead, "Let's not escalate, let's elevate." Watch how the temperature drops, not just in the room, but in your body, in your breath, in your nervous system. What used to feel like a threat now becomes an opportunity to grow, to listen, to diffuse, and the people around you will feel it. Not because you speak louder, but because you speak clearer, with less emotion, more purpose, less heat, more height. You'll begin to notice that most conflicts aren't actually about the surface problem. They're about two people trying to feel seen, heard, validated. When you elevate the energy instead of matching their frustration, you show them a different way to exist in the same space. You model leadership, not with power, but with presence. So say it again. Next time things get tense, don't jump into the storm. Let's not escalate. Let's elevate. Let that be your philosophy, your posture, your power. Because anyone can raise their voice, but a Stoic raises their standard. And that kind of energy, it doesn't just change the conversation, it changes the relationship. It turns pressure into perspective, and people can feel it. After 3 days of this practice, you won't just be more peaceful, you'll be unshakable. Not because conflict disappeared, but because you rose above it. Number 11. This moment is enough for me to practice greatness. It's easy to wait for the big opportunity, the stage, the spotlight, the life-changing moment that finally makes all the small ones feel worth it. Most people are trapped in that waiting room. They believe greatness begins when circumstances are perfect, when they get the dream job, the recognition, the breakthrough. But the Stoic doesn't wait for greatness. They practice it, right here, right now. Because to the Stoic, every moment, no matter how small or ordinary, is a training ground. Folding laundry, sitting in traffic, taking out the trash, being ignored, being misunderstood. Even these are sacred. Why? Because who you are when no one's watching is who you truly are. So when life feels boring, when rejection stings, when the work feels invisible, say this to yourself: this moment is enough for me to practice greatness, and mean it. Let the phrase flip the lens on reality. Suddenly, the dull becomes deliberate. The frustrating becomes fertile. Every situation becomes an invitation. Marcus Aurelius wrote entire reflections to himself while fighting wars, falling ill, and losing people he loved. He didn't wait for peace or comfort to cultivate virtue. He used the storm. Because the Stoic knows greatness isn't an event. It's a decision repeated 1,000 times in moments that no one claps for. So when you're scrubbing the floor, waiting in line, or holding back from saying something you'll regret, don't sigh, don't zone out, don't wish it away. Say it softly. This is enough to practice greatness. And then ask yourself, what would excellence look like right now? What does virtue sound like in this silence? Maybe it looks like patience. Maybe it sounds like restraint. Maybe it feels like showing up fully to something you could easily do half-hearted. The power of this mindset is simple but life-altering. It removes all excuses. You don't need ideal conditions. You don't need recognition. You need this moment and your choice within it. Try this for 3 days. Every time the mind says, "This doesn't matter," respond with, "That's exactly why it does." Practice precision when no one's watching. Speak kindly when no one expects it. Choose calm when no one else is choosing it. Greatness isn't what happens once in a lifetime, it's what happens when you stop postponing character. This phrase kills the myth of later. Later, when you're more ready. Later, when you feel more motivated. Later, when the situation matters. But the Stoics sees through that illusion. They don't wait to be important to act with importance. They don't need permission from the world to show up like the world depends on it. Because the truth is, no one becomes great at once. Greatness is carved in repetition, in the unseen, in the quiet moments where most people are asleep, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. The Stoic stays awake, not because they're special, but because they've trained themselves to see value where others see routine. So repeat it when life feels slow, when things fall apart, when no one's looking. This moment is enough for me to practice greatness. Let that phrase turn chores into challenges, delays into discipline, disappointment into depth. You'll begin to feel it, not just in your actions, but in your posture. Your breath will be fuller, your decisions more thoughtful, and over time, people will notice. Not because you boast, but because your energy carries a certain weight. The quiet weight of someone who trains for life in every moment, not just the big ones. Greatness isn't a performance, it's a pattern. And if you choose to speak like this, to treat every moment as sacred, you'll find that the life you were waiting for isn't in the distance. It's already here. You just needed the eyes to see it, and the discipline to meet it. Number 12. My inner state is my true resume. There's a subtle pressure that follows most people around, the pressure to impress, to be seen as successful, to prove your worth through titles, status, likes, recognition. It shows up in how you dress, how you speak, how you position your life for others to notice. But beneath it all lies one question that haunts the modern mind. Am I enough in the eyes of others? But the Stoic doesn't live for applause, they live for alignment. They measure worth not by what the world sees, but by what they feel when they're alone. And that's why, before stepping into the world, they remind themselves, my inner state is my true resume. Say it. Let it land. It's a reminder that the calm you carry, the clarity you protect, the way you respond to chaos, that is your legacy, not your job title, not your follower count, not how many people clap when you speak. It's how still your soul is when no one's watching. It's how quickly you return to peace when the world tries to shake you. Marcus Aurelius was the emperor of Rome, yet he wrote every night, not about power, but about temperance, self-control, humility. Why? Because even with the highest rank in the land, he knew, titles come and go, but character stays. And it's the state of your inner world that either builds your life or breaks it. So try this. When you feel the urge to prove yourself, whether in conversation, online, in front of peers, pause. Take a breath. Whisper it inwardly. My inner state is my true resume. Watch what happens. The need to defend yourself fades. The hunger to be liked quiets. The urgency to outshine others dissolves. Because now you're building something real, not an image, an empire, one that can't be taken from you, one that doesn't depend on compliments, validation, or attention. The Stoic doesn't care if others see them as wise, only that they are. They don't chase recognition, they cultivate depth. Try this for 3 days. Every time you feel the pull of performance, whether in a meeting, a conversation, a post, pause and ask, is this rooted in my values or in my need to be seen? Then repeat it like armor. My inner state is my real resume. And you'll notice something powerful. You speak less, but with more impact. You listen deeper. You stand firmer. You make fewer moves, but each one with more clarity and intent. Because you're no longer living reactively, you're leading yourself from within. This phrase disarms the ego. It takes your focus off polishing your reputation and puts it back where it belongs, on polishing your integrity. And when you carry that, people feel it, even if they don't say it, even if they never compliment you. Your presence begins to carry a quiet weight, the kind that doesn't need to shout to be respected. Because in a world obsessed with looking the part, the Stoic is obsessed with being it. And while others race for external titles, the Stoic writes theirs in silence, through self-control, emotional clarity, and inner peace. So the next time you doubt your value, the next time comparison poisons your confidence, the next time someone misunderstands you, underestimates you, or ignores you, don't rush to explain. Don't chase their approval. Just breathe and remind yourself, my inner state is my true resume. Let that be your compass. Let that be your confidence. Because while image fades, inner power endures. And in the Stoic life, that's the only job that matters, the job of mastering yourself. Number 13. Let me do the humble thing that strengthens me. There's always an easier way out, a softer road, a more flattering choice, one that strokes the ego, keeps you comfortable, or helps you avoid feeling small. And it's tempting, because doing the quiet, humble thing doesn't get applause. No one posts about restraint. No one celebrates washing dishes without complaint, apologizing first, or showing up early when no one else does. But the Stoic doesn't live for praise, they live for strength. And they know that strength often hides in the humblest choices. So before you make that decision, before you react, respond, or retreat, pause and ask yourself, what's the humble thing that will strengthen me? Let the question cut through the noise. It won't always feel good, but it will always make you better. This is how character is forged, not in grand moments, but in the small, invisible ones. The choice to listen instead of defend, to admit you were wrong without justification, to say no to something easy and yes to something hard, but necessary. This is humility, not weakness, but the wisdom to step down from the ego and rise in virtue. Seneca wrote, "No man was ever wise by chance." That kind of wisdom requires practice, and the most powerful practice of all is choosing the difficult thing that no one sees, but you know is right. Over time, this isn't just growth, it's self-respect. It's being able to look at yourself and say, I took the higher road, not because I had to, but because it was mine to take. Try this for 3 days. When you're at a crossroads, when pride wants to lash out, avoid, or be right, pause. Ask, what's the humble thing that will strengthen me? Then do it, even if it's quiet, even if it doesn't get noticed, even if it feels like surrender in the moment, Because the truth is, ego makes noise, but character leaves impact. Let's say someone disrespects you. The ego wants revenge. The mind wants to restore pride. But pause. What's the humble thing that will strengthen me? Maybe it's silence. Maybe it's a calm boundary. Maybe it's walking away. Not because you're weak, but because you're free. Or maybe you're struggling with discipline. You want to skip the workout, delay the task, break the promise to yourself. Ask it again. What's the humble thing that will strengthen me? And do that, even when no one's watching, especially then. Because real courage doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need to be loud. The Stoic knows that growth is quiet. It's the daily decision to lean into discomfort, not as punishment, but as preparation. Humility isn't about thinking less of yourself. It's about thinking more of what you're becoming, and knowing that shortcutting that process only weakens you in the long run. You'll notice the shift. Your reactions become wiser, your choices more deliberate, and something inside you begins to change, not by force, but by depth. You no longer need to be seen as strong because you are strong, not loud strong, not show strong, stoic strong. So say it again, when ego rises or fear tempts you into comfort. Let me do the humble thing that strengthens me. Let that question guide your steps. Let it filter your decisions. Let it become your daily ritual. Because while others chase pride, the Stoic chases practice. And day by day, quiet choice by quiet choice, they become unshakable, not in image, but in essence. Number 14. I am the architect of my reaction. There's a moment, brief, electric, when someone says something sharp, when a situation tilts unexpectedly, when emotion begins to rise like a storm on the horizon. Most people get swept away. They slam doors. They fire off angry texts. They shut down or explode or flee. They blame the weather, their mood, the person, the stress, the bad day. But the Stoic remembers something different, something powerful. I am not the weather. I am the architect of my reaction. Say it slowly. Let it sink in. It's not denial of the emotion. It's sovereignty over what gets built from it. Because emotion is just the material. Anger, fear, hurt, frustration, these are the bricks. But you choose what kind of structure you build, a cage, a collapse, or a cathedral. The Stoic doesn't wait for perfect conditions. They don't hope for everyone to be kind or for their mood to be perfect. They begin building anyway, with patience, with care, one deliberate response at a time. It's not about being robotic. It's about becoming responsible. Responsible for the one thing you always control, your response. Try it the next time something hits you emotionally. Before you speak, before you act, before you post or storm out or explain, say it. I am the architect of my reaction, and then build something worthy. Maybe you build silence instead of shouting, a boundary instead of bitterness, reflection instead of reaction. Not because you're trying to be perfect, but because you're practicing presence. Marcus Aurelius, in the chaos of ruling Rome, reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's what this phrase gives you. Not escape from emotion, but power within it. The power to pause, to choose, to build. Try it for 3 days. Every time you feel emotionally hijacked, whisper the phrase like a blueprint. I am the architect of my reaction. Breathe, step back, look at the materials in front of you and ask, what do I want to build here? Who do I want to be in this moment? And then, brick by brick, build that. You'll feel the shift. No more being a slave to the storm. No more regretting what you said or did in the heat of the moment. You'll move through emotion instead of drowning in it. Not with repression, but with direction. That's self-mastery, not as a lofty idea, but as a lived practice. It's in how you hold your tone when provoked, how you manage your energy when plans fall apart, how you treat others when you're not in the mood. These are your blueprints. This is your cathedral. And like any great builder, you understand. It takes time. It takes patience. But every brick matters. And when you build like this, moment by moment, you start living in something solid, something sacred. A life made with intention. So next time the storm arrives, don't say, "I can't help it." Don't say, "It's just who I am." Say instead, "I am the architect of my reaction." Let that be your cornerstone, your identity. Because moods pass, people change, situations shift. But what you build, that stays. So, build something strong, build something real, and do it one response at a time. Number 15. Let me be the stillness I've always searched for. When the day has pulled at you from every angle, when the noise of the world has entered your bones, when your mind feels like a crowded room, and your body holds the tension of 100 decisions, it's easy to reach outward. A screen, a drink, a distraction, something, anything, to quiet the restlessness inside. But the Stoic knows the truth. Real peace isn't found by escaping noise, it's found by becoming silence. And so, at the end of a stressful day, they close their eyes, take a slow breath, and say to themselves, "Let me be the stillness I've always searched for." Not chase it, not demand it from others, not hope the world quiets down, but become it. That shift right there is freedom, because most people live like peace is something that happens to them. If the traffic isn't bad, if no one argues, if everything goes right. But a Stoic doesn't live on conditions. They build peace like a fire, inside steady, regardless of the storm outside. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." This wasn't poetic fluff. It was a practice. He didn't ask the world to be calm. He became the calm. In the middle of war, grief, chaos, he trained himself to be still, not because the world would reward him for it, but because his soul needed it to survive. And so do you. Try it tonight. When the urge to scroll, vent, or escape appears, don't react. Don't seek the outer fix. Instead, pause. Put a hand on your chest, feel the breath, and say it. Let me be the stillness I've always searched for. Let it echo. Let it guide your body back to rest. You'll begin to feel it, a quiet unfurling in your chest, a softening of the jaw, a return to something ancient inside you, something unshaken, unbothered, unhurried. That's not detachment. That's not numbness. That's home. Try this for 3 days. Speak this phrase at the close of your day or any time your nervous system feels hijacked. You'll notice the shift. Over time, peace stops feeling like something rare and starts becoming your baseline. Not because the world got easier, but because you stopped depending on it to feel okay. This phrase also teaches you something radical. You don't need to fix everything to be still. You don't need every problem solved to breathe fully. You don't need permission from life to relax into yourself. Stillness isn't the absence of activity. It's the presence of you, anchored, aware, calm without needing a reason. And the more you repeat this line, the more your body believes it. Your nervous system learns it can stay grounded even when the world spins. Your breath deepens, your thoughts slow. You realize, I don't need to run, I don't need to fix, I just need to be still, and from there, I'll know what to do. So, say it again, especially when the day feels too loud. Let me be the stillness I've always searched for. Say it not just as a wish, but as a commitment, because the silence you long for has always lived inside you. It was never out there. It's you. And when you live from that place, you don't just feel calm. You become the calm that others feel. And that's the Stoic way. Not waiting for peace to arrive, but walking into every room as it. You've just seen what happens when you stop being your own critic and start being your own guide. For 3 days, just 3, you don't need a new life. You need a new voice. One that doesn't bully, but builds. One that doesn't panic, but pauses. One that doesn't chase approval, but anchors you in self-respect. These Stoic phrases aren't affirmations, they're foundations. For calm, for clarity, for real, lasting strength. So talk to yourself like someone worth listening to, because the world doesn't need another loud opinion. It needs more quiet power. And that power begins with how you speak to you. If even one of these lines rewired something inside you, leave a comment below and write, I speak to myself like someone I trust. Let it be your vow. Let it be your echo. Let it be your shift. Have you ever experienced a moment of such intense anger that you felt completely out of control? Perhaps when someone said something hurtful or acted in a way that deeply upset you. Have there been days when even a simple glance or a passing remark made it feel as though the entire world was against you? In today's rapidly moving and pressure-filled world, it's incredibly easy to become overwhelmed by negative emotions, from minor irritations to full-blown rage. But is there truly a way to remain steady in the midst of emotional chaos? Is it possible to live a life of calm and composure, untouched by the actions or words of others? Can we really protect our inner peace from external disturbances? Stoicism, an ancient yet deeply relevant school of philosophy, offers profound and enduring wisdom for this very challenge. Thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca endured unimaginable hardships, yet they managed to preserve a state of inner calm by embracing the principles of Stoic thought. Today, we'll delve into 7 practical approaches designed not just to help you manage your emotions, but to truly master them, to gain unwavering control over your inner world. What I'm about to share goes far beyond theoretical musings. These are timeless lessons drawn from the depths of Stoic philosophy, carefully transformed into practical insights that you can apply immediately. So I encourage you to stay with me throughout this journey, because even embracing just one of these approaches can lead to a powerful and immediate shift in your life. Let's begin by talking about the idea of embracing willingness in life. One of the foundational principles of Stoicism that leads to deep inner tranquility is the practice of fully accepting whatever life brings our way. Now, this doesn't mean we have to enjoy every situation or agree with everything that happens. Instead, it calls us to meet each circumstance with openness and a lack of resistance. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, encourages us to accept the things to which fate binds us and to love the people fate connects us with, but to do so wholeheartedly and sincerely. This type of acceptance is essential for breaking the cycle of anger and frustration, Picture yourself performing a mundane task like washing the dishes. If you do it begrudgingly, each plate becomes a source of resentment. But if you engage in the task with a willing spirit and a sense of gratitude, even this simple act becomes peaceful. Epictetus, in his discourses, teaches us not to wish for events to happen as we want them to, but to want them to happen as they do. Because in doing so, life begins to flow more harmoniously. This is the essence of willingness, moving with the current of life rather than resisting it. Practically speaking, this mindset can shift how we respond to uncomfortable moments. Imagine being stuck in traffic. If you allow yourself to dwell in irritation over the delay, your frustration only grows. But if you view the situation as an opportunity to listen to an audiobook, a favorite podcast, or to simply reflect, you instantly take back control over your experience. When we begin to accept life as it is, stress loses its grip on us. A critical part of developing willingness is clarifying our purpose. Instead of chasing fleeting desires or short-term goals, we can focus on a higher vision, a guiding purpose that informs all our actions. Ask yourself, what is the life I am striving to build? What vision am I aligning with? Unlike personal ambitions that might bring momentary satisfaction, a true vision encompasses the entirety of your being. When you live with a grand, meaningful purpose, each action becomes voluntary. You understand that even the hard or unpleasant moments are contributing to something greater. You're no longer just reacting, you're choosing. Think about the difference between doing something out of obligation versus doing something from the heart. If you're meeting a deadline at work under pressure, the task can feel heavy. But when you volunteer to help someone or support a cause you believe in, even the most difficult tasks feel fulfilling. The action may be the same, but the intention transforms your experience. I choose to do this becomes your sanctuary. I have to do this becomes your torment. Try applying this perspective to your daily life. When someone says something offensive, you face a fork in the road. You can let that comment dictate your emotions and lash out in anger, or you can see it as a moment to practice acceptance and inner strength. Remind yourself, this person is acting according to their own character, but I choose not to let it disturb my own. Accepting life's circumstances as they unfold does not mean giving up on self-improvement or letting go of the drive to better your circumstances. Rather, it means recognizing that while some things are beyond your control, your response is always within your power. This understanding is incredibly freeing. It reduces stress and empowers you to focus your energy where it matters most. For instance, if you're criticized at work, you can take it as a personal attack, or you can see it as an opportunity for growth. Your peace of mind isn't determined by what happens to you, but by how you interpret and respond to it. Embracing willingness is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. Start small. Accept when you make a mistake. Welcome life's little challenges as opportunities to strengthen your character. Learn to greet inconveniences with calm and patience. As you gradually develop this mindset, you'll find that anger has less power over you. External circumstances won't shake you as easily. Instead, you'll discover a growing, quiet power within yourself, the kind of power that allows you to live life by your own design. Now let's talk about the second principle, the importance of stopping the habit of judging others. Have you ever paused to reflect on why it's so easy to feel annoyed, frustrated, or angry with the people around you? It often comes down to a simple truth. We are constantly judging others. Think about how many times a day you tell yourself that someone is rude, selfish, slow, or untrustworthy. These judgments don't just affect how we view others, they create emotional turmoil within us. From a Stoic perspective, letting go of judgment is one of the most effective ways to free ourselves from unnecessary emotional suffering. Humans naturally interpret the world through their own subjective lens. When someone acts in a way that doesn't align with our expectations, our instinct is to label them, to assign blame, fault, or flaw. Let's say someone is driving slowly in front of you. The first thought might be that they're being thoughtless or stupid. But what if they're a new driver? Or what if they're driving carefully because they have children in the car? The reality is that external events do not dictate our emotions. It's our interpretation that does. Judging others adds an unnecessary emotional burden. These judgments aren't just passing thoughts. They are seeds that grow into frustration, anger, and resentment. Take, for example, a coworker who often arrives late. If your judgment is that they're lazy or inconsiderate, your irritation will build with each passing day. But if you take a moment to consider that they might be caring for someone who's unwell or facing struggles you don't know about, your attitude softens. This shift in perspective doesn't mean you're excusing poor behavior. It means you're choosing not to let it rob you of your peace. You begin to see that judging others does more harm to you than to the person being judged. By releasing the need to label others, you unburden your mind and heart. When we stop judging, we open the door to greater compassion, not just for others, but for ourselves as well. Stoicism teaches us that we can't control other people's actions, but we can always choose how we respond. When we judge less and understand more, we create space for patience, empathy, and emotional resilience. This doesn't mean abandoning discernment or allowing others to walk over you. It means stepping back from the reflex to immediately categorize someone as good or bad based on a single action. People are complex, just like you. Everyone has struggles, insecurities, and reasons behind their behavior. Ultimately, letting go of judgment is about choosing peace over irritation. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional chains that come with trying to control or define others. When you stop judging, you stop absorbing unnecessary negativity. And in that space of neutrality, you find clarity, calm, and strength. Stay with me as we continue exploring more powerful Stoic practices that can transform not only your emotional world, but your entire life. These teachings aren't just about philosophy. They're about creating a life of stability, depth, and enduring inner peace. Stoicism doesn't instruct us to ignore our problems. It teaches us to see them with greater clarity and understanding. Marcus Aurelius wisely observed that we always possess the option of withholding our opinion. There is never a true necessity to become agitated or to disturb your inner peace over matters beyond your control. No one is entirely virtuous or completely flawed. People are a blend of actions, influenced heavily by their life experiences, surroundings, and level of awareness. Think back to a time when you didn't show up as your best self. Maybe you were exhausted, overwhelmed, or just having a particularly rough day. In the same way, others' actions are rarely a reflection of who they are at their core, but more often a response to the situations they're facing. In the right environment, even someone with many faults can demonstrate surprising kindness. On the flip side, even those who are usually composed and kind can falter under pressure. Consider this. You're at a restaurant and the server accidentally spills water across your table. Your immediate reaction might be irritation or anger. How careless! But if you take a moment to pause and reflect, considering the possibility that they might be having an exceptionally difficult day, your emotional response changes. You feel lighter. This is the quiet but profound power of releasing judgment. Not only does it lift the burden of discomfort from your shoulders, but it also deepens your empathy toward others. To be clear, letting go of judgment doesn't equate to justifying wrongdoing. It means choosing not to let the actions of others take control of your inner world. You can still recognize poor behavior and distinguish right from wrong without allowing negativity to poison your mind. As Marcus Aurelius also noted, the best form of revenge is to remain unlike the one who committed the harm. The most dignified and powerful response to being wronged isn't retaliation, it's maintaining your grace and self-control. So how do we put this principle of non-judgment into action? The first and most essential step is awareness. When you notice yourself beginning to form a judgment about someone, ask yourself honestly, is this thought necessary? Is it helping me in any meaningful way? Then try to shift your point of view. Put yourself in the other person's situation. What might they be going through that you don't see or understand? Remember too that the richness of life comes from diversity. The fact that someone behaves, thinks or reacts differently than you doesn't automatically make them wrong. It simply makes them different. And not every difference needs to be analyzed or emotionally charged. Often, it's not worth your energy or your peace. Letting go of judgment is ultimately about freeing yourself from carrying unnecessary emotional burdens. It's about learning to release the weight of irritation and resentment. The next time someone gets under your skin, pause, breathe deeply, and ask yourself honestly, is this emotional reaction really worth it? You'll begin to notice that by choosing empathy and perspective over assumption and judgment, you not only become more compassionate toward others, but also extend greater kindness to yourself. In the end, ask yourself this fundamental question: do I want to cling to my anger, or do I want to live with freedom and peace? The answer lies within your control. When you release the habit of judging others, you naturally begin to loosen your grip on the desire to control. This opens your eyes to a powerful truth. Much of the tension and disappointment in life comes from our expectation that others should behave according to our preferences. But life doesn't function on our terms. People, with all their complexities and unique circumstances, act based on their own motivations, many of which we may never fully comprehend. This brings up a deeper question. Is control truly the path to peace? Or does peace arise when we let go of the need to control? This question strikes at the very heart of Stoic philosophy. Instead of expending energy trying to reshape what lies beyond our reach, we can choose to accept things as they are, and in doing so, free ourselves from much of life's unnecessary stress. You can't dictate the direction life takes, but you can always govern how you respond. Imagine you're driving during peak traffic hours. The roads are jammed, the horns are blaring, and you're about to be late. You feel frustration bubbling up. Why can't people drive better? Or, why is the traffic always like this? But the truth is, you can't alter how others drive or instantly clear the roads. What you can control, however, is your mindset. You can choose to become agitated, or you can take a breath and accept that this situation is simply outside your influence. Though it might seem straightforward, the act of letting go of control can radically transform your daily experience. Think of a mother who constantly worries about her child's academic performance. She wants the best and fears failure. But no matter how deeply she cares, she cannot take the exams for her child. Or picture an employee frustrated with their boss's decisions. No matter how much they disagree, they can't force their boss to think differently. Much of our emotional distress arises from pinning high hopes on things we can't control. When those expectations go unmet, disappointment and resentment naturally follow. I once knew a young entrepreneur who poured his soul into developing a new tech product. His vision was ambitious. He wanted to revolutionize an entire industry. But when he finally launched the product, the market response was lukewarm at best. He was crushed. He blamed the customers for failing to grasp its brilliance and suspected rivals were sabotaging him. This mindset kept him trapped in bitterness. During a conversation, I encouraged him to shift focus. Instead of brooding over what others weren't doing, what could he do differently? Slowly, he began to refine his approach, adjusted the product, and embraced the slow, often humbling journey of growth. By focusing only on what was within his control, he found new clarity, regained his creative spark, and eventually surpassed his earlier goals. This is the essence of Stoicism in practice, recognizing when you're placing energy into the unchangeable and choosing instead to focus on what you can influence. In moments of stress, ask yourself, is this within my control? Am I improving the situation by reacting this way, or am I making it worse? These aren't just philosophical questions, they're practical tools for emotional clarity. Letting go of control doesn't mean you give up or resign yourself to passivity. It means directing your energy wisely toward your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. Imagine rowing a small boat down a river. You can't stop the current, but you can learn to steer with precision, adjusting to the flow and moving forward with ease. A valuable Stoic practice for this mindset is premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. Each morning, spend a moment imagining potential setbacks, a delayed train, a cancelled meeting, a friend letting you down. By anticipating these possibilities, you make peace with them before they even occur. When they do, you'll find yourself far more prepared to accept them calmly. Letting go of control isn't a weakness. It's an extraordinary act of strength. It's a form of freedom. When you stop clinging to what you can't hold, you create space for peace, creativity, and inner power. Begin with small steps. Resist the urge to argue someone into agreeing with you. Stop replaying the past. Stop grasping for guarantees in life. Life is like a river, always flowing, often unpredictable. But when you learn to stop resisting and instead navigate with grace, you discover that peace isn't something you need to chase. It's something you create, moment by moment, choice by choice. When people don't act the way we expect them to, it's easy to feel upset or disappointed. But have you ever paused to wonder why we even expect perfection from others or the world around us? According to Stoic philosophy, this expectation of perfection is not only unrealistic, but also a major source of emotional suffering. The idea that everything should go according to our standards is an illusion, and by recognizing this, we begin to free ourselves from the negative emotions that arise when reality doesn't meet our demands. Reflect on your experiences. Have you ever been let down because a coworker didn't do their part, causing setbacks in your own work? Or maybe you felt hurt when someone close to you didn't keep a promise or said something unkind. These situations are not rare, yet we often react with the assumption that people should be flawless. But is that a fair expectation? The Stoic philosopher Epictetus teaches that it's not the events themselves that disturb us, but rather our judgments about those events. Our anger and frustration don't come from what people do, but from how we choose to view their actions. The world is naturally messy, unpredictable, and flawed. It was never meant to function according to our preferences. Trying to mold it to our will only leads to suffering. Let's consider a specific case. Imagine you spent days preparing for a vital presentation. You gave it your all, but right before it began, the colleague in charge of the supporting materials made some critical mistakes or left out important content. The initial reaction might be overwhelming frustration. You might think, how could they be so careless after all my effort? But from a Stoic viewpoint, this reaction doesn't serve you. The mistake has already happened, and blaming someone else only increases your distress. A more empowering response would be to ask, what can I do right now to make the best of this situation? Accepting that people make mistakes allows you to stay calm and think clearly, which in turn helps you find better solutions. Stoicism teaches that our focus should remain on what we can control. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, advised that we begin each day by reminding ourselves we will likely encounter rudeness, ingratitude, arrogance, betrayal, hostility, and selfishness. These aren't exceptions to the rule, they are part of life. He explained that such behaviors stem from ignorance, from a lack of understanding about what is truly good or bad. By anticipating these imperfections, we mentally prepare ourselves to respond with patience and strength. This isn't about being negative, it's about being realistic and equipping ourselves emotionally to handle life's unpredictability. Embracing the world's imperfections can also change the way we handle everyday conflicts. When someone fails to keep a promise, rather than immediately feeling betrayed, you can remind yourself that everyone is fighting battles you can't see. If you're feeling misunderstood, resist the urge to become defensive. Instead, calmly try to clarify your thoughts. Perhaps the other person didn't mean to offend, but simply didn't grasp your perspective. If someone is rude or critical, ask yourself whether their words truly injure you or whether it's your own interpretation that's creating the pain. To accept imperfection doesn't mean we stop trying to grow or improve the world around us. On the contrary, this mindset liberates us. When we stop demanding that others meet our personal standards, we free ourselves from constant disappointment and can instead invest our energy in what truly matters. Take personal relationships, for example. We often expect our partner to understand us completely, to instinctively know our feelings and needs. But even the most loving person can't read your mind. When you stop blaming them for not meeting your unspoken expectations and instead ask yourself whether you could express your needs more clearly, you not only reduce frustration, but also strengthen your relationship through better communication. When we truly embrace imperfection, we begin to find beauty in flaws. The co-worker who forgets deadlines, the friend who lets you down, the stranger who speaks harshly, all of these become chances to practice compassion and resilience. Ask yourself, have I ever made mistakes? If you desire understanding and forgiveness from others, shouldn't you be willing to extend the same to them? This shift in thinking reminds us that every human being is flawed, just as we are, and most are doing the best they can with the circumstances they face. Seneca, another great Stoic thinker, said that true freedom belongs to the brave. Having the courage to face and accept imperfection is not only a sign of compassion, it is a key to inner peace. You don't need a perfect world to be happy. When you stop expecting perfection from people or from life, you take a massive weight off your shoulders. Marcus Aurelius noted that your life's happiness depends on the quality of your thoughts. By training your mind to accept life as it is, not as you wish it to be, you begin to find peace amidst the chaos. This approach doesn't mean settling for less or tolerating harmful behavior. Rather, it's about mastering the art of living, one based on clarity, patience, and wisdom. As we start to accept the world's flaws, we arrive at a deeper realization. The way we feel about life's events is not dictated by the events themselves, but by our internal responses. This leads us to an even more personal challenge, learning to take responsibility for our emotions. The outside world is full of disorder, and people will often fail to meet our expectations. Things will rarely go exactly as we plan, but must these things shake us to our core? Accepting life's external imperfections is one part of the equation. The more difficult and more rewarding part is learning to regulate how we respond emotionally to what happens around us. This brings up a vital question. Who really controls your feelings? You or the circumstances you encounter? Stoic philosophy urges us to confront this truth head-on. Picture yourself standing in a crowded supermarket line on a hectic weekend. The place is buzzing with noise and stress. Suddenly, someone cuts in front of you without saying a word. No apology, no acknowledgement. Almost immediately, you feel a surge of irritation. You might think, "How rude." The impulse to speak up angrily or to stew in frustration is strong. But here's where you can take a pause and reflect. Is this person's inconsiderate action really worth disrupting your peace? They may have acted poorly, but your emotions are still your responsibility. Why should you allow their behavior to take charge of how you feel? If you choose calmness, you'll notice something powerful. The irritation begins to melt away. That person may continue without ever realizing what they did, but their behavior no longer has any control over your mood. The cue may take a few minutes longer, but your inner stability remains untouched. What could have been a spark for hours of negativity turns into just another moment in the day, easily forgotten. Every day, we unknowingly give others control over our emotions. A harsh comment, a dismissive look, or a forgotten favor can make us feel hurt or angry. But why do we give other people such power over our emotional state? Marcus Aurelius, emperor and philosopher, reminded us that we have complete control over our minds, even if we can't control outside events. In that control lies our strength. His insight reveals a timeless truth. While you can't determine how others behave, you always have the power to choose how you respond. Think back to a time when you were unjustly criticized, maybe at work or by someone close to you. The natural reaction might have been anger, maybe even a desire to defend yourself. But imagine if, in that moment, you had reminded yourself that your value doesn't depend on one person's opinion, and that your peace of mind is not up for negotiation. That would change everything. How can we begin to develop this level of emotional mastery? The answer lies in simple but powerful practices. Start by learning to harness the power of the pause. When something upsets you, resist the immediate impulse to react. Instead, ask yourself a few key questions. Am I overreacting? Or, is this moment really worth disturbing my peace? This brief pause, though seemingly small, creates a vital gap between the trigger and your response. In that space, you gain the ability to make a conscious choice, to choose calm over chaos, wisdom over impulse. Another deeply effective approach, one rooted in ancient Stoic tradition, is to keep a daily journal of your emotions. Each evening, take a few quiet moments to reflect. Ask yourself, what stirred my emotions today? What situations challenged my inner balance? How did I respond? And could I have chosen a wiser response? This daily practice is more than just writing. It's a mirror into your emotional life. Over time, it reveals patterns, moments where you consistently lose your composure, and gives you the clarity and discipline to change your reactions. Slowly but surely, this builds a resilient mindset. Owning your emotions is the cornerstone of a more peaceful life. The truth is, no one can truly make you angry or upset unless you give them that power. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius captured this timeless wisdom when he wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." These words are not just theory, they are a call to action. They remind us that emotions, while powerful, are our possession. They are not the result of what someone else says or does, but of how we interpret and internalize the situation. Your peace of mind is your responsibility. When you learn to protect it, fiercely but calmly, you will find that very little in this world can truly disturb your inner spirit. So ask yourself, does this way of thinking resonate with you? If it does, take a moment to like this message and share your own thoughts in the comments. I'd truly love to hear your personal stories and reflections. And if you see things differently, I welcome your perspective as well. Your insights might ignite a meaningful and enriching conversation that helps us all grow. Let's keep growing together as we move forward into the next timeless principle. Lesson number 6. Practice non-reaction. In life, unexpected moments often catch us by surprise. A colleague might publicly criticize you during a meeting, leaving you stunned and embarrassed. A stranger may rudely cut in front of you in a line you've been patiently standing in. Or someone might throw a sharp and careless remark your way, leaving you feeling offended or even angry. These types of encounters, though they may seem small, can easily shake your mood and stir up feelings of resentment and frustration. But is there a better way to handle such moments? Is there a way to remain grounded and composed, even when others act out of line? The answer lies in mastering the ancient yet powerful art of non-reaction. Epictetus, one of the great voices of Stoicism, once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple truth holds immense power. When you pause and reflect on it, you begin to see that your emotional state is not determined by other people's behavior, but by how you choose to perceive and respond to it. Take the earlier example of being criticized during a meeting. Your initial reaction might be to feel embarrassed or irritated, especially if the criticism is public and unexpected. You might feel the urge to immediately defend yourself or push back to protect your pride. But what if you paused instead? What if, in that brief space between stimulus and response, you asked yourself, why should I let this define my mood or my worth? That colleague's hasty or insensitive words don't actually diminish your capabilities. They only reflect their own mindset in that moment. By choosing not to react emotionally, you protect your peace, maintain your professionalism, and show strength, not weakness. Consider an alternative and more stoic approach. You smile calmly and respond, "Thank you for the feedback. I'll address that after I finish presenting my ideas." With that single response, you seize control of the situation. The colleague, expecting a defensive reaction, is instead met with grace and composure. And you, rather than being flustered or rattled, Walk away from the meeting with confidence and inner calm. This is the quiet power of non-reaction. Seneca, another towering figure of Stoicism, once advised, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." One of the most effective ways to master non-reaction is to give yourself time. When someone insults you or challenges you unfairly, resist the temptation to fire back immediately. Instead, take a breath. Reflect. If the conflict is over email, delay your reply by an hour or even a full day. Time grants you clarity, and clarity allows you to respond wisely rather than impulsively. Sometimes the strongest response is silence. Choosing not to retaliate doesn't mean you are weak. On the contrary, it means you are in full control. By refusing to be provoked, you remain the master of your inner state. There's a wise old saying, "If a donkey kicks you and you kick back, you're both donkeys." This humorous yet profound parable teaches that reacting to negativity with more negativity only pulls you down to the same level. But when you rise above it, when you choose not to engage, you preserve your dignity and your peace. Picture a heated argument. Each word adds fuel to the fire, but then imagine one person stops speaking. They no longer react. Eventually the flames die down. Without fuel, anger cannot survive. The one who steps back from the conflict emerges not as weak, but as wise. They have chosen peace over pride and have protected their emotional balance. Take a moment to reflect. When was the last time you lost your temper over something that in hindsight was trivial? Was the anger worth it? If you could return to that moment, would you respond differently? These are powerful questions that invite us to become more self-aware and more in control of ourselves. Marcus Aurelius captured it best when he wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This wisdom isn't abstract, it's practical. It means that even in the chaos of life, you always have the power to reclaim your peace. Mastering non-reaction doesn't mean you accept mistreatment or remain passive in the face of injustice. It means you become discerning, choosing where your energy is best spent and refusing to waste it on meaningless provocation. By embracing non-reaction, you gain emotional mastery. You protect your peace. You develop a strong, grounded soul that cannot be easily shaken by outside forces. Remind yourself every day, you cannot control the actions of others, but you can always control your response. In a world full of noise, calmness, silence, and an unshaken heart are your greatest strengths. This is the essence of Stoicism. Now, let's explore the next vital teaching. Lesson number 7. Find joy in selflessness. As we learn to stay calm and resist the urge to react hastily to the world around us, something remarkable begins to happen. Our inner world begins to lighten. The burdens we once carried, anger, irritation, resentment, begin to lift. The things that used to trigger us now feel like minor ripples in the vast river of life. And in that space where bitterness used to reside, something new and beautiful takes root. A quiet, radiant joy. The joy of understanding, of compassion, and of giving without expectation. As our hearts soften and open, we make room for empathy and love. We begin to see that sometimes the most powerful way to protect our peace is to simply forgive, to let go, to offer kindness even when it is not returned. This is not weakness, it is transcendence. It is the mind finding clarity and the heart expanding to embrace others, even those who fall short. Marcus Aurelius beautifully reminds us in his writings that when we wake in the morning, we should take a moment to reflect on the privilege of being alive, to think, to experience joy, and to love. These are gifts that each new day provides. These simple yet profound words serve as a gentle reminder of the blessings life offers us. Every morning is an opportunity to love, to help others, and to live with a heart that is more open and receptive than it was the day before. Through the lens of Marcus Aurelius, forgiveness is not something distant or difficult to attain. It is simply an awareness that helping others brings joy, not just to them, but also to ourselves. I recall a story about a friend who worked in a highly stressful environment where he was frequently criticized, sometimes unfairly, by his colleagues. Instead of responding with anger or frustration, he chose to pause and reflect. He asked himself, "Are they going through something that I don't know about?" One day, he learned that a colleague who had been particularly critical was facing severe financial struggles. This revelation changed his entire perspective. Rather than retaliating, he chose to remain silent, to listen, and even offered help when he could. Over time, this approach not only improved their relationship, but also created a more positive and less tense atmosphere in the workplace. The same principle can be applied to our family lives. Minor disagreements in families often have the potential to escalate into major arguments. Imagine having a relative who constantly criticizes you, no matter what you do. Their words might hurt deeply, but it's important to remember that their criticism often comes from their own insecurities or struggles, rather than from a genuine desire to hurt you. When you understand this, it becomes much easier to disarm your own anger. Choosing forgiveness doesn't mean you accept wrongdoing. It means you choose not to let it dictate how you feel or control your emotional state. Anger frequently arises from our expectations of others. We expect people to behave according to our standards, but life is inherently imperfect. Everyone carries unseen burdens, and recognizing this fact allows us to let go of our expectations. Once these expectations fade, there is no longer a reason for anger to take root. The beauty of forgiveness is that it not only helps us move beyond anger, but also brings a deep sense of joy and relief. Reflect for a moment. Can you recall a time when you helped someone without expecting anything in return? How did it feel? It was likely a peaceful, fulfilling experience, one that brought a sense of purpose and joy that surpassed any material reward. Epictetus once wisely stated, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Practicing forgiveness is not only about giving to others, it is about reclaiming control over our own emotions. It is a form of spiritual freedom, a state of peace that cannot be bought with material wealth. Modern research supports this idea. People who regularly engage in acts of kindness and selflessness report higher levels of happiness. The teachings of Stoicism, which have endured for millennia, understood this truth deeply. Forgiveness is not merely a moral virtue, it is a path to a fuller, more meaningful life. Take a moment to ask yourself, can I see this situation from the other person's perspective? What might be driving their behavior? These questions, when practiced regularly, can help ease discomfort and foster understanding. When was the last time you helped someone without expecting anything in return? How did it make you feel? Reflecting on such moments can guide you toward practicing forgiveness daily. It doesn't have to be a complicated or difficult process. Sometimes It's as simple as showing patience with someone's carelessness or refraining from trying to control things that are beyond your power. Instead of clinging to anger, focus on bettering yourself. When you extend kindness to someone, be grateful for the opportunity to do so and let go of any resentment. Seneca, in his timeless wisdom, beautifully said, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. Wherever life places us, we have the chance to offer compassion. Choose forgiveness, not just for others, but also for yourself. Through giving and understanding, we build a better world for both ourselves and those around us." Forgiveness is not just an action. It is the key to living freely and peacefully. In conclusion, we have explored 7 methods for maintaining inner peace and remaining unaffected by the anger or annoyance caused by others. These principles are not merely philosophical musings. They are practical tools that guide us toward true inner freedom. By embracing acceptance, we learn to align with life itself. By letting go of judgment, we free ourselves from the burdens of bias. By relinquishing control and embracing imperfection, we take responsibility for our emotions and practice non-reactivity. All of these steps bring us closer to genuine self-mastery. Along this journey, finding joy in compassion becomes the greatest gift we can offer, not just to others, but to ourselves as well. The world is riddled with traps lurking around every corner, all designed to strip you of your strength as a man. Just take a moment to observe the popular Netflix shows being promoted, or consider the kinds of individuals society now places on a pedestal. Virtually nothing escapes the influence of a larger agenda, one aimed at controlling minds. Men are being conditioned, subtly yet powerfully, to accept weakness as a new norm. There's a well-known story that illustrates this perfectly, a story about a lion that I want to share with you. If this is your first time on my channel, I would truly appreciate your support. Please consider subscribing and liking the video so I can keep bringing you content like this in the future. Once upon a time, there was a mighty lion, feared by all who crossed his path. One day, this lion fell deeply in love with a farmer's daughter. But there was a major obstacle. The farmer despised the lion. When he discovered the lion's affection for his daughter, he became determined to prevent their union at any cost. So the cunning farmer devised a plan and summoned the lion. He told the lion that he would only permit the marriage under one condition, that the lion must first remove his sharp claws. To the lion, it seemed like a small sacrifice for such a great reward. So, for the sake of love and with the hope of winning the farmer's approval, he went to a stone and deliberately shattered his own claws. The next day he returned to the farmer, proudly announcing that he was now harmless and ready to claim his bride. But the farmer was not done. He added another condition. The lion must now break off his sharp teeth and fangs. Again the lion agreed, willing to give up even more of himself to attain what he desired. He removed his fangs and teeth, then returned once more. But this time, the farmer did not meet him with kindness. Instead, he attacked the lion and killed him. Now defenseless, the once powerful beast could not protect himself. The very things that had given him strength and identity had been willingly discarded, one by one. This story holds a powerful message. Brothers, the world we live in today is no different. There are forces at play far greater than most of us realize, and they have meticulously crafted a system, a matrix, designed to keep men enslaved to their impulses, their cravings, and their desires. But here's the hard truth. You can blame the farmer, you can point fingers at the elite and the system all you want. But in the end, It was the lion who made the choice to surrender. Voluntary discipline is the sacred virtue every man must embody, whether in his professional ambitions, financial journey, or romantic life. Every man is born with a deep desire to feel powerful, assertive, and in control. This is not arrogance. It's nature. We are wired to strive for strength and direction. Yet many of us have lost touch with this instinct. We fall into habits that strip us of our potential. We willingly hand over our power. Today, men complain endlessly. They squander their money on meaningless pleasures, drugs, pornography, and even apologize for things that don't require an apology. In doing so, they develop habits that weaken them from the inside out. One such habit is mocking others. This isn't a topic that gets much attention, but it's crucial. As a man of high value, you should never elevate yourself by tearing others down. Mocking others in an attempt to look superior reveals insecurity and a lack of respect. Authentic masculinity isn't about dominance over others. It's about self-mastery. Think about the example of crabs in a bucket. When one crab tries to climb out, the others instinctively pull it back down. Similarly, when someone around you attempts to rise, to improve, or to pursue a better life, there are those who feel threatened or envious and try to hold them back. That kind of behavior is neither noble nor productive. If you find yourself making fun of others, understand this: in that moment, you are placing yourself beneath them, period. That doesn't mean you should ignore mistakes or never correct others, but correction should come from a place of guidance, not ridicule. As a man, it is your duty to mentor and uplift your brothers, not to belittle them. Leave behind grudges, hidden motives, or superiority complexes. Instead, offer feedback that helps others grow and evolve. Remember, true strength and confidence are never expressed through mockery. Listen to what Mike Tyson once said: "Social media has given people the false courage to speak disrespectfully to others without fearing the consequences, like getting punched in the face." His words are a stark reminder of how disconnected we've become from accountability. Another habit that weakens men is the refusal to accept responsibility. Let's return to the story of the lion and the farmer's daughter. Ultimately, the lion's downfall wasn't caused solely by the farmer's deception. The real reason lies in the lion's failure to embrace his responsibility. His duty was to live as the powerful predator he was created to be. His claws and teeth were not just weapons, they were symbols of his identity and nature. But he chose to abandon that for acceptance. Many of us do the same in our lives. We run from our responsibilities instead of owning them with pride. But responsibilities are not burdens. They are the very foundation of who we are as men. I want you to say this out loud. I will honor my responsibilities with pride because they define me as a man. The moment you decide to escape your duties is the moment you choose to abandon your masculinity. Never forget this truth. The price of greatness is responsibility. Hear it again. The price of greatness is responsibility. This principle not only strengthens your own identity, but it also brings stability and growth to those around you. Responsibility should not be something we avoid or hand off to others. It should be embraced as the very path to fulfillment, greatness, and becoming the men we were always meant to be. There's a tendency among many men today to run from failure. This has become a real challenge in our time. Most men would rather stay in their comfort zone than step into the discomfort required for growth. But remember, real growth often involves pain and is usually disguised behind what we perceive as failure. Think about the well-known story of the man who digs in search of diamonds. He has no idea how far beneath the surface those diamonds lie, but he keeps digging. At first, it's just more dirt. Every scoop feels like nothing's changing, but with persistence, after hours or even days, he eventually uncovers what he's been searching for. The same is true for us. Brothers, understand that failure is not the end. If you carry the mindset that failure is final, you can be certain you will never achieve anything meaningful. Anything worth having comes with a cost. Let's say you launch a business. In the early stages, you may run into what seems like countless failures, struggling to understand how the business works, learning to attract and retain customers. But if you stay in the game long enough and continue to rise from those temporary setbacks, growth becomes inevitable. It's the same when dealing with women. In the beginning, you might come off as awkward or unsure of yourself. You may not know how to carry a smooth interaction, but your success lies beyond those early uncomfortable moments. These are just small prices a man must pay. Strength demands payment, and the payment is often temporary defeat. Many of us were raised to feel ashamed of our mistakes, to fear failure, and to constantly search for someone to blame. It's not my fault, we say. That person is the reason. These are the thoughts of someone who is not willing to take ownership. I want you to remember this quote. Write it down if you must. A weak man is one who blames his failure on the strength of others. Be sure to follow us on TikTok at Daily Stoic, on YouTube, and on all our social platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. There is another challenge, chasing a mission but blindly following useless or harmful laws. It's easy to spot the difference between a coward and a man of true value. The coward always sides with the majority, even when what they say is obviously wrong. What's worse is that the coward expects men of high value to also submit to these shallow rules and toxic norms. But a man of substance doesn't just follow, he examines, reflects, and decides based on reason and his higher purpose. In today's world, we've been trained not to judge, not to question, and not to stand firm. This mindset is getting out of hand. At this point, many are simply puppets, lab rats of the system, obeying every new agenda and regulation without question. There's nothing wrong with obedience, but only when what you're obeying aligns with your purpose, your calling, and above all, with the law of God. There is no law above that divine standard. Ask yourself, are you easily intimidated? Do you try to please everyone just to avoid confrontation? For some men, learning to say no is incredibly difficult, but if you commit to acting on truth, you'll see that the world doesn't fall apart when you stop complying with everything. I've seen too many men live in fear within their own marriages, acting like their wives are tyrants, afraid to speak their minds or offer correction. That is a perfect example of unhealthy submission, one that strips away masculine strength and leadership. Now let's talk about body language. The concept of nonverbal communication is more important than you might think. This includes things like how you shake hands, your eye contact, the way you sit, how you walk, and how you move when engaging with others. People can often sense whether you're a strong or weak man without a single word being said. In a society that often pushes against traditional masculinity, it's more important than ever for men to be aware of how they carry themselves. Being intentional with your body means consciously projecting strength, confidence, and clarity. Stand tall, walk with purpose. Make solid eye contact when speaking. Be deliberate in your movements and maintain a commanding presence. Your body speaks before your mouth does. It's your first impression, your silent introduction. It has a powerful impact on how people see you and how they treat you. When you present yourself as a man with confidence and strength through your body language, people are less likely to try to exploit or disrespect you. This is a vital skill for any man who wants to succeed in relationships, business, and life in general. Lastly, let's talk about waste, specifically wasting your most valuable years. We often stress on this channel the significance of your younger years, your 20s and into your 30s. These are your golden years, the prime time to build, to establish, and to grow. Think of a farmer planting seeds. He doesn't expect the fruit to grow the next day. In the same way, your 20s should be focused on sowing, emotionally, spiritually, physically, laying down the roots that will define your future. But here's the most important part. Don't expect to reap the rewards right away. Just keep planting, stay consistent, keep putting in the work. And before you even realize it, those seeds will begin to bear fruit. Don't rush the harvest. Keep planting, keep building, and before long, you'll find that you've created lush gardens and entire forests, environments that will attract the right kind of people, opportunities, and energy into your life. When I talk about sowing, I'm talking about pushing yourself, testing your limits, and challenging who you are now so that you can grow into who you're meant to become. This doesn't mean you have to grind non-stop, working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But it does mean you must remain aware that these early years are when your energy is at its peak, when opportunities to take bold risks are abundant. Take advantage of this season. Especially when you're young, it might feel like you're missing out on social trends or being part of a fast-moving culture when you're choosing instead to invest in yourself. But resist that temptation to blend in or to be distracted. You may not fully grasp it now, but with time and maturity, you'll deeply appreciate the discipline and focus you showed during these early years. To reinforce this truth, listen to what the wisest man who ever lived said about youth. Solomon once wrote these powerful words, "You who are young, be happy while you are young, and let your heart give you joy in the days of your youth. Follow the ways of your heart and whatever your eyes see, but know that for all these things God will bring you into judgment." In other words, enjoy your youth, but also live it with purpose and accountability. Now, let's talk about another common trap, being lazy and unproductive with your time. The way you organize your day, how you manage the hours you've been given, plays a significant role in your personal development. Ask yourself, what time do you go to bed? What time do you get up? How is your day structured? What do you do when you come home from work? These questions are not small details to be ignored until it's convenient. They are fundamental to shaping the life you want. If you're a man seeking growth and success, then every part of your day deserves intentional planning. Consider why the most powerful people in the world are so effective at constructing systems and influence, what some call the matrix. It's because every detail of that system has been carefully planned. In the same way, you must examine your daily life, the people you interact with, the environments you allow yourself to be in, and even the type of content you consume. If you are not intentionally planting strong, purposeful thoughts in your mind, you may unknowingly be giving open access to influences that weaken you from within. Laziness is one of the greatest threats to men today. Many of us have powerful ideas and ambitions about our future, about business, or about the kind of life we want to live. But if we do not take action, those dreams remain unrealized. Laziness has a way of creeping in slowly and subtly. It starts small, but if left unchecked, it spreads like a disease, silently eating away your potential. It holds you back from taking necessary steps and keeps you stuck in place. Always remember, brothers, that laziness only wins against the weak. A man of true value and inner strength quickly learns how to identify laziness within himself and correct it before it takes root. Stay vigilant. Watch for signs of idleness in your life and act against it the moment it shows up. Don't forget this. In modern society, weakness has become a celebrated trait. Weakness is praised and promoted, but strength remains your greatest virtue. Pursue strength relentlessly. Find strength in every situation, in every challenge. And most importantly, never forget that your ultimate source of strength is God. Each day is filled with moments that can shape your growth and push you closer to your goals. But it's up to you to seize those moments with intention and courage. Let your pursuit of strength be both physical and mental. Know that building your spiritual and personal foundation will give you the resilience you need to overcome life's trials. Have you ever imagined a world where everything you hope for becomes reality? A place where your goals, your dreams, and your deepest aspirations don't just live in the realm of possibility, but become tangible, real experiences. If so, you're exactly where you need to be. Today, we're diving into a powerful secret that can help you make this vision your truth. It's not magic, and it's not a gimmick. It's a philosophy of life. That philosophy is Stoicism. Stoicism teaches us the profound value of directing our attention inward, toward our own actions, reactions, and mindset. It shows us that by mastering what happens within us, we can reshape our external world and bring about extraordinary change. In this video, we're going to take a closer look at 15 Stoic principles that can help you do just that. Each principle will be broken down thoroughly, accompanied by a meaningful quote from a Stoic philosopher that brings its deeper significance to life. So sit back, take a breath, and get ready to embark on a journey to the very core of Stoicism. Before we go any further, I would truly appreciate it if you could give this video a like. It helps the message reach more people who might benefit from it. And if you don't want to miss any of my future content, be sure to subscribe and activate the notification bell. Let's begin with the first key, ataraxia. Ataraxia represents inner peace, a state of serene calmness. The Stoics regarded it as one of the highest forms of happiness. The term, originally Greek, is often translated as tranquility or imperturbability. To the Stoics, true happiness could never be found in fleeting pleasures or in the approval of others. Instead, it lives in the quiet peace of a well-ordered mind. Ataraxia comes from accepting life as it is, without the constant need for things to be different than they are. It's the understanding that while we cannot control external events, we have absolute power over our interpretation and response to them. When we release ourselves from the grip of unrealistic expectations and embrace the present moment for what it is, we begin to experience true peace. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them." This insight reminds us that our emotional stability and inner harmony depend not on what happens to us, but on how we choose to interpret those happenings. By cultivating ataraxia, we stop wasting energy on what we can't control and start directing our focus to what genuinely matters, our own personal growth and inner development. Now we move on to the second Stoic key, amor fati, which means to love one's fate. Amor fati is more than acceptance. It's the act of embracing everything that life hands us, both the joyful and the painful. Rather than resisting hardships or mourning the misfortunes that cross our path, Stoicism teaches us to see these experiences as essential parts of our journey. Amor fati is about perceiving every moment, no matter how challenging, as meaningful and necessary for our evolution. It is about recognizing that each twist in the road is a step toward becoming the person we are meant to be. The Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius captured this beautifully when he wrote, "Accept whatever comes to you, woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs." This reflection tells us that everything we encounter is designed to teach us, shape us, and prepare us for what's next. By practicing amor fati, we stop fighting life and instead flow with it. We gain a deeper appreciation for the lessons in our difficulties, and we become stronger, wiser, and more grounded as a result. This mindset shift empowers us to stay focused on our inner journey instead of becoming stuck in resistance or bitterness. Let's continue with the third key, prososche, the art of mindfulness. Prososche is the practice of paying close attention to the present moment. It's about being deeply aware of our actions, thoughts, and emotions as they happen, without casting judgment or letting ourselves be swept away. The Stoics emphasize that the present is the only place where we have real influence. We can't control the past, and the future is uncertain. But here, now, in this moment, we have full power over how we act, how we think, and how we respond. Practicing prososche means living consciously. It's choosing not to be distracted by what might be or what has been, but instead devoting ourselves fully to doing what is right now. Epictetus, once again, provides insight with his words. Don't seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish for them to happen as they do, and you will go on well. This is a gentle but firm reminder to release our grip on control and trust the flow of reality, focusing instead on how we engage with the world moment by moment. When we embrace prososche, we begin to notice how often our attention drifts. We start catching ourselves when our mind races ahead to worries about tomorrow or lingers in regrets from yesterday. In returning our focus to the present, we bring ourselves back to power. We step into clarity, and that clarity helps us turn inward, refine our intentions, and live in alignment with our true values. Mindfulness, in this Stoic sense, is not simply about awareness. It is about wise awareness, the kind that transforms how we live our lives. Finally, we arrive at the fourth key, eudaimonia, what the Stoics referred to as the good life. Eudaimonia isn't about fleeting pleasure, status, or material wealth. It's about something far deeper and more lasting. To the Stoics, the good life was one rooted in virtue, wisdom, and purpose. It meant living in alignment with nature, not just the external world, but our inner nature as rational, ethical beings. Eudaimonia is a life guided by integrity, where our thoughts, actions, and values are in harmony. True happiness, according to the Stoic worldview, is not found in chasing after things that constantly shift and fade. It is found in the commitment to be a good person, to do good work, and to contribute meaningfully to the world around us. Living in this way brings a sense of deep fulfillment that no amount of wealth or pleasure can provide. It's about waking up each day with a clear conscience and a heart focused on what truly matters. As we continue this journey through the Stoic keys, remember that each of these principles is not just a concept, it's a practice, a daily exercise in how we live, how we think, and how we respond to life. Stay with me, because there is so much more Stoic wisdom to come. Let's keep exploring this philosophy together. To the Stoics, living in harmony with nature means living virtuously. It involves understanding that our true happiness and inner fulfillment do not come from external circumstances, but rather from our own actions, decisions, and moral character. As Seneca, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, put it, "It is not the man who has little who is poor, but the one who always wants more." This profound statement reminds us that genuine wealth and contentment are found not in material possessions, but in the strength and virtue of our character. This idea forms the foundation of eudaimonia, a concept central to Stoic thought. Eudaimonia refers to human flourishing and the pursuit of a life of meaning and virtue. When you focus on personal growth, strive for virtue, and live with intention, you begin to discover lasting fulfillment and a deeper sense of peace. Memento mori, remember that you will die. The fifth Stoic principle is memento mori, a Latin phrase that means remember that you will die. This powerful concept is not meant to invoke fear, but rather to awaken us to the fragility of life and to inspire intentional action. Reflecting on our mortality reminds us that life is finite, and because of this, every single day becomes precious. By keeping death in mind, we learn to appreciate each moment, to live with urgency, purpose, and depth. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic thinker, once wrote in his Meditations, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly." This reflection teaches us that each day is a gift and urges us to use it wisely. Practicing memento mori helps us recognize the beauty of the present and encourages us to live each day with gratitude and purpose. It allows us to direct our energy toward personal growth rather than becoming entangled in what is outside of our control. Enkrateia, self-control. The sixth Stoic principle is enkrateia, which translates to self-control. The Stoics saw self-control as essential for a virtuous and fulfilling life. It means having the discipline to govern your thoughts, emotions, and actions, especially when faced with temptations or difficulties. Self-control is not about repression, but about mastery. It is the strength to remain steady and aligned with your values, even when emotions or external pressures try to pull you off course. Epictetus, a prominent Stoic philosopher, said that happiness is not found in the abundance of possessions or pleasures, but in the absence of desire. This quote reflects the Stoic belief that true self-control comes not from fighting desires, but from rising above them. By practicing enkrateia, you learn to govern yourself with wisdom and clarity. This form of discipline empowers you to stay grounded and focused on your personal development, regardless of the chaos or distractions around you. Affiliation, a sense of belonging. The seventh Stoic principle is affiliation, which refers to the deep sense of belonging and connection to a greater whole. The Stoics taught that we are all parts of a larger community and that we share a mutual responsibility to contribute to the well-being of others. Affiliation is the conscious recognition of our interconnectedness and the decision to act with that awareness. It's about realizing that our choices have effects not just on ourselves, but on the world around us. Hierocles, a Stoic philosopher, proposed a model of concentric circles to describe this idea. At the center is the individual, surrounded by family, friends, community, humanity, and finally, the cosmos. This model serves as a reminder that we are part of something much larger than ourselves, and that our actions can ripple outward to affect others. By practicing affiliation, you become more aware of the impact of your behavior and choices, and you begin to live in a way that contributes to both your personal growth and the good of your community. It's a balanced perspective that keeps you grounded in yourself while also expanding your compassion and responsibility toward others. Love for humanity. The eighth Stoic key is love for humanity. The Stoics held a deep belief in the importance of kindness, compassion, and generosity. Loving humanity means acting with goodness and empathy toward others, expecting nothing in return. It is the understanding that we are all members of the same human family, and with that comes a duty to care for and support one another. Seneca said, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." This quote beautifully encapsulates the Stoic perspective on human connection. Regardless of the situation, there is always a moment to show compassion. Practicing love for humanity allows you to move through life with a generous heart and a spirit of unity. It encourages you to grow internally by doing good externally, fostering a deeper sense of meaning and connection with the world around you. Moderation. The ninth Stoic principle is moderation. The Stoics emphasize the importance of living a balanced life and avoiding extremes. They believe that true happiness and virtue are found in the middle ground, not in excess and not in deprivation. Moderation is about finding harmony within your desires, actions, and lifestyle. It is the wisdom to know when enough is enough, and the strength to maintain equilibrium in the face of temptation or hardship. By practicing moderation, you create space for peace, clarity, and thoughtful living. You are no longer ruled by cravings or impulsive behaviors, but are instead guided by reason and virtue. This balanced approach helps you grow internally while maintaining a steady and focused life path. Moderation allows you to develop a life of stability, wisdom, and inner freedom, hallmarks of the Stoic way. Living a balanced life and avoiding excess is about striving for harmony in all areas of your life. It means recognizing that extremes, whether they come in the form of pleasures or hardships, can often lead to discontent and suffering. This understanding is a central theme in Stoic philosophy. Epictetus, one of the most notable Stoic philosophers, once said that wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This insight teaches us that genuine wealth and lasting happiness are not found in acquiring material things or indulging in pleasure, but in leading a life of moderation and balance. When you begin to live this way, you start to discover a sense of peace and fulfillment that comes from within, rather than from external circumstances. Practicing this mindset helps you stay centered and focused on personal growth, allowing you to develop into your best self without falling into the trap of overindulgence. Differentiating what you can control from what you cannot is a fundamental Stoic practice. The Stoics believe that true peace and satisfaction in life come from placing our attention on what is within our power and accepting what lies beyond our control. This involves developing the ability to distinguish between your actions and thoughts, which are within your control, and the external events and circumstances that are not. It's about accepting that while you cannot always influence what happens around you, you do have full control over how you respond to those events. Epictetus emphasized this idea by saying, "It's not things that disturb us, but our opinions about things." This quote highlights the truth that our emotional state and inner peace are shaped not by external events themselves, but by how we interpret and react to them. Embracing this principle allows you to let go of unnecessary stress and focus instead on mastering your mindset and behavior, paving the way for deeper personal growth. The premeditation of evils, also known as negative visualization, was a regular exercise for the Stoics. They would mentally prepare themselves by imagining the possible difficulties or challenges they might face in the future. This wasn't an act of pessimism, but rather a wise and practical preparation. It is the art of anticipating potential hardships and developing the mental strength to deal with them, should they arise. This practice helps you build emotional resilience, so that when things don't go as expected, you are not caught off guard. A wise Stoic philosopher once stated that the wise always consider adversity as a possibility and are therefore prepared to face it. This thought reminds us that true wisdom lies not in naively hoping that everything will always go well, but in being prepared for life's uncertainties. When you embrace this mindset, you train yourself to remain calm, steady, and composed even in the most difficult circumstances. It's a perspective that reinforces your inner stability and supports your continuous development. The idea of universal connection is another powerful teaching in Stoicism. The Stoics believed that we are all integral parts of a larger whole, deeply connected with the universe and everything within it. This belief encourages us to recognize our place in the grand design and to act with an awareness of how our behavior affects the broader world. It's about understanding that every choice we make ripples outward and touches the lives of others and the balance of the universe itself. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic Roman emperor, wrote in his Meditations, "What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee." This quote serves as a reminder that we are not isolated individuals. Our well-being is tied to the collective well-being of the world around us. By living with this awareness, you begin to act more responsibly and with greater compassion, making choices that not only benefit you, but also support the greater good. This viewpoint encourages a life of purpose, empathy, and unity, all of which are essential for personal development and inner peace. Arete, often translated as the excellence of character, is at the heart of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics taught that the ultimate goal of life is to develop a virtuous character and live in alignment with nature. Arete is the daily practice of nurturing your inner virtues and staying true to your values. It's about understanding that real happiness and contentment don't come from external success or circumstances, but from your own character and the way you live your life. Epictetus spoke of this when he said, "Do not seek for events to happen as you want them to. Rather, want them to happen as they do, and your life will go smoothly." This wisdom reminds us that peace and happiness are not determined by the world around us, but by how we choose to respond to it. When you commit to practicing arete, you focus on becoming a person of integrity, wisdom, and virtue. It's a lifelong journey of self-discipline and inner growth, one that leads to true fulfillment. The principle of duty is a central tenet in Stoic thought. The Stoics believed that each person has a moral responsibility, not only to themselves, but also to others. Living by this principle means honoring your roles and responsibilities, not out of fear or obligation, but because it is the right and virtuous thing to do. It involves understanding that your actions have consequences, not just for you, but for the people and world around you. Fulfilling your duty with integrity strengthens your character and creates a positive ripple effect in the world. It's about living in a way that is consistent with your values, being reliable, and doing your part to contribute to the greater good. This sense of duty brings clarity, purpose, and a deep sense of inner satisfaction, and it is essential to living a life of virtue and personal excellence. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, reflected in his meditations that one should do what is in harmony with the nature of a good man. This quote serves as a powerful reminder that our responsibility is to behave in ways that reflect the virtues and nature of a morally upright person. By embracing this mindset, you can learn to carry out your responsibilities and obligations in a way that resonates with your inner values and ethical beliefs. Adopting this perspective enables you to remain centered on your personal growth and self-development. Logos, the principle of universal reason, forms the 15th and final essential element of Stoic wisdom. The Stoics believed in an underlying rational structure to the universe, a guiding logic known as the Logos. According to their view, the universe operates according to this built-in reason, and it is our task as human beings to live in accordance with this natural order. Practicing Logos means committing to the pursuit of truth and wisdom by means of rational thought and logical inquiry. It involves recognizing that our actions and decisions should be influenced by reason, rather than being swayed by fluctuating emotions or impulsive desires. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote that everything that happens in the way that universal nature wants it to happen. This statement reminds us that we must seek to understand the flow of universal logic and live in accordance with it rather than resist or fight against it. By embracing the principle of Logos, you can learn to make thoughtful and rational choices, allowing your life to align more closely with the wisdom and reason that governs the universe. This approach not only grounds you in personal discipline, but also deepens your connection to the greater cosmic order, reinforcing your focus on self-mastery and purposeful living. We now arrive at the end of our journey through the 15 Stoic principles that guide us toward focusing on ourselves. Each one of these timeless teachings offers a unique insight into how we can lead a life that is not only fulfilling, but deeply meaningful. From ataraxia, the state of serene calmness, to Logos, the universal reason, these Stoic principles remind us that we possess the inner power to control our actions and responses. They call us to live in alignment with our values and to contribute to the well-being of those around us. Let us remember that Stoicism is not merely an ancient philosophy preserved in books. It is a practical and transformative guide meant to be lived and practiced daily. If you apply these Stoic principles in your own life, you can discover a profound sense of inner peace, live with clear intention, and awaken your true potential. So, the question remains, are you prepared to begin this journey of self-discovery and inner transformation? As the great Stoic thinker Seneca once said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." Did you know that the secret to transforming your life's biggest challenges into your greatest opportunities might have been discovered over 2,000 years ago? Imagine facing life's storms with a calm so powerful nothing could shake your inner peace. Sounds like a superpower, right? Well, it's not just a fantasy. This ancient superpower, it's an age-old philosophy that's as practical today as it was in the bustling markets and marble halls of ancient Rome and Greece. Stoicism teaches us that while we can't control every aspect of our lives, we have absolute power over how we choose to react. And in today's world, where uncertainty seems to be the only certainty, these teachings could be the anchor we've all been searching for. What if I told you that Stoicism is more about action than thought? It's about living a life filled with purpose, resilience, and happiness, no matter what life throws your way. It's not about suppressing your emotions, but understanding and managing them to lead a more fulfilling life. So whether you're dealing with stress, facing adversity, or simply looking to find more joy in the everyday, stick around. Today we're diving deep into Stoicism, uncovering its timeless wisdom and discovering how it can transform not just the way we think, but the way we live. If you're eager to embark on this journey of transformation, don't forget to subscribe, share, and hit that like button. Stick with me till the end without skipping, because every moment of this video is a step towards uncovering the Stoic wisdom that can change your life. Focusing on what's in your control. Have you ever found yourself stuck in traffic, fuming over the delay, or scrolling through your phone only to get upset over a negative comment someone left on your post? It happens to the best of us. It's almost like our day-to-day life is filled with these little tests, challenging our mood and our peace of mind at every turn. But here's a game-changing perspective from the world of Stoicism that can turn all that frustration on its head. Stoicism, this incredible philosophy that dates back to ancient Greece and Rome, hands us this powerful tool, focusing on what's in our control. The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Think about that for a second. Traffic, bad weather, negative comments, these are all outside our control. We can't change them, no matter how much we wish we could. What we can change, however, is how we react to them. This idea isn't just ancient wisdom, it's backed by modern psychology too. Carl Jung, a giant in the field of psychology, famously stated, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." This aligns perfectly with the Stoic practice. It's about recognizing that the only real power we have is over our own reactions, thoughts, and actions. Let's break it down a bit. Say you're in that traffic jam, late for an important meeting. You can spend that time stewing in anger, honking your horn, and stressing out, which, let's be honest, won't make the cars ahead move any faster. Or you can take a deep breath, accept the situation, and maybe use the time to listen to a podcast, an audiobook, or simply enjoy some music. The traffic hasn't changed, but your response to it has. And with that shift, your stress levels drop, and your day looks a bit brighter. This Stoic principle of focusing on what you can control extends far beyond just dealing with traffic or weather. It applies to our personal goals, our reactions to others, and our approach to obstacles in life. As Marcus Aurelius, another Stoic heavyweight, reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So next time you find yourself getting worked up over something outside your control, remember these wise words from our Stoic friends. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If it's not, let it go. Focus on your reaction, your mindset, and your actions. This simple shift can have a profound impact on your stress levels and overall happiness. It's not always easy, but it's worth practicing every day. Remember, it's about progress, not perfection. And as we learn to focus more on what's in our control, we'll find ourselves not just surviving life's challenges, but thriving in spite of them. Stoicism teaches us the art of embracing obstacles as opportunities. It sounds counterintuitive, right? Most of us are programmed to view obstacles as just that, barriers to our success and happiness. But Stoics like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus flip this narrative on its head. Embracing obstacles as opportunities. They tell us when life throws you a curveball, instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What can I learn?" This is a game changer. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and a Stoic philosopher, penned in his personal writings, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." What he means here is that every obstacle, no matter how daunting, not only tests our resilience, but also teaches us valuable lessons. It's about finding the silver lining in tough situations and using it to fuel our growth. This perspective isn't just ancient philosophy. It's backed by modern thinkers too. The famous psychologist Carl Jung said, "What you resist persists." By fighting against obstacles, we give them more power over us, but by accepting and learning from them, we can overcome them. This Stoic mindset is about transforming challenges into stepping stones towards becoming stronger and wiser. Let's make it practical. Say you're facing rejection from job applications. It's easy to fall into a spiral of self-pity and doubt, but what if you viewed each rejection as feedback? Maybe there's a skill you need to improve or a new strategy for your job search. That shift in perspective can turn a series of rejections into a path for professional development. Another example is personal conflicts. They're uncomfortable and stressful, but they also offer a chance to practice patience, empathy, and communication skills. Every disagreement is an opportunity to understand different viewpoints and to refine our conflict resolution abilities. The essence of embracing obstacles as opportunities lies in asking ourselves, what can this situation teach me? Instead of being passive victims of circumstance, we become active learners and problem solvers. This doesn't mean that facing obstacles becomes easy, but it does mean that we approach them with a mindset geared towards growth and learning. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is the heart of Stoicism. It's about seeing beyond the immediate pain or frustration of an obstacle and finding the lessons and opportunities it presents. So when you're faced with a challenge, big or small, try to pause and reframe it. Ask yourself what you can learn from the situation and how it can make you stronger and wiser. Remember, obstacles aren't just hurdles to overcome, they're opportunities to grow. By adopting this Stoic mindset, we can navigate life's ups and downs with more grace, resilience, and wisdom. It's something we hear about all the time, right? Live in the now. But what does that really mean? And why is it so important? Living in the present moment is about fully embracing and experiencing where you are at this very second, not letting your mind wander off to the worries of tomorrow or the regrets of yesterday. It's about realizing that life, with all its beauty, challenges, and surprises, happens in the now. This concept isn't new. It's been a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, echoed by great minds like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. And it's been reiterated by modern psychologists and thinkers. Let's start with the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future." Living in the present moment. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. He understood that the power of living in the present lies in its ability to ground us, to clear our minds of distractions, and to allow us to appreciate the richness of life as it unfolds. But why is it so hard to stay present? Our minds are often cluttered with thoughts, worries about what's next, or replaying things that have already happened. This constant mental noise pulls us away from the beauty and potential of the here and now. As the famous psychologist Carl Jung put it, the least of things with a meaning is worth more in life than the greatest of things without it. Living in the present moment gives meaning to the small everyday experiences, enriching our lives beyond measure. Aristotle talked about the importance of being mindful of the present to achieve eudaimonia, a state of being happy, healthy, and prosperous. He believed that by focusing on the here and now, we could live a virtuous life, making the most of our human experience. So how can we practice living in the present? It starts with mindfulness, the art of paying attention to the present moment without judgment. When you eat, savor each bite. When you walk, notice the feeling of the ground under your feet. Listen actively when someone is speaking to you instead of planning what you're going to say next. These simple acts of mindfulness bring us back to the present, making our lives richer and more meaningful. Seneca offered this wisdom: true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. He understood that anxiety about what's to come or what has been only serves to diminish our happiness in the now. Living in the present isn't about ignoring the future or forgetting the past. It's about finding a balance where we learn from our past and plan for our future without letting those activities consume our present. It's in this balance that we find peace and contentment. Remember, every moment is an opportunity to reset and refocus on the now. It's in the present that we live, love, and make memories. So let's make a conscious effort to be more present in our lives. Let's cherish the now, for this moment right here is where life truly happens. I know the word self-discipline might bring to mind images of rigid schedules and a life devoid of fun, but let's reshape that picture together. Self-discipline is not about restricting your life. It's about empowering yourself to make choices that align with your deepest values and long-term aspirations. It's choosing what's right for you, not what's easy in the moment. At its core, building self-discipline is about mastery over ourselves. It's about saying yes to things that serve us and no to things that don't, even when it's tough. Think about it. Whether it's sticking to a workout routine, saving money instead of impulse buying, or turning off Netflix to focus on a project, these choices might not deliver instant gratification, but they pave the way for long-term satisfaction and success. Stoic philosophy has a lot to say about self-discipline. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This powerful statement highlights the essence of self-discipline. It's about controlling our impulses, building self-discipline, emotions and actions despite the external temptations and distractions that life throws our way. Seneca offers wisdom on the subject too. He advises us to be steadfast and control our desires rather than being controlled by them. He understood that true freedom comes from within, from our ability to govern ourselves and our appetites. But why is self-discipline so critical? Aristotle, the ancient Greek philosopher, sheds light on this. He believed that we achieve excellence and virtue through habit. By practicing self-discipline, we cultivate habits that lead us toward our best selves. It's not about occasional acts of willpower, but about consistently making choices that reflect our values and goals. Building self-discipline also ties into modern psychological understanding. Carl Jung, a pioneer in psychology, emphasized the importance of integrating all aspects of our personality to live fully. This integration requires self-discipline, as we must navigate the desires of different parts of our psyche, choosing paths that contribute to our overall well-being and growth. So how can we build self-discipline in our daily lives? Start small. Pick one area you want to improve, whether it's your diet, exercise routine, or spending habits. Set clear, achievable goals and take it one day at a time. Remember, every time you make a choice that aligns with your goals, you're building the muscle of self-discipline. Epictetus reminds us, "No great thing is created suddenly." Self-discipline is built through small, consistent actions. It's about progress, not perfection. Every day presents new opportunities to practice self-discipline, to choose actions that move us closer to who we want to be. Building self-discipline is a journey. It's about finding balance between what we want now and what we want most. It's about making choices that might be hard in the moment, but will bring us closer to our goals, happiness, and peace in the long run. So let's commit to this journey together, supporting one another in choosing what's right, not what's easy. Remember, in the realm of self-discipline lies the path to achieving our dreams and living a life we truly love. When life throws its curveballs, we all experience a whirlwind of emotions. Feeling angry, sad, or frustrated is a natural part of being human. But here's the kicker. It's not just about the emotions we feel, it's about how we handle them. That's where the magic of emotional resilience comes in. Emotional resilience is like this superpower that allows us to navigate through life's storms with grace and come out stronger on the other side. It's about acknowledging our emotions, understanding them, and then taking positive steps to move forward rather than being swept away by the tide of our feelings. The Stoics had a lot to say about this. Marcus Aurelius, for example, reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This profound insight touches the essence of emotional resilience. It's about recognizing that while we might not have control over what happens to us, we have control over how we respond. Developing emotional resilience. Our emotions don't have to control our actions. Seneca offers wisdom on facing adversity without losing our composure. He teaches that life's hardships are tests of our character and resilience. By facing our feelings with understanding and patience, we can grow wiser and more robust. But how do we develop this emotional resilience? It starts with self-awareness. Being mindful of our emotions and reactions helps us understand ourselves better. It's okay to feel what we're feeling, but instead of reacting impulsively, we can choose to respond in a way that aligns with our values and long-term well-being. Aristotle spoke about the golden mean, finding the balance between excess and deficiency. This concept applies beautifully to emotional resilience. It's about finding a balanced response to our emotions, not suppressing them or letting them overpower us. Carl Jung, a pioneer in psychology, emphasized the importance of integrating all aspects of our psyche to achieve wholeness. Part of this process involves confronting our emotions, understanding them, and learning from them. This is at the heart of developing emotional resilience. So what can you do when you're in the grip of strong emotions? First, give yourself permission to feel. Acknowledge your emotions without judgment. Then, take a step back and try to understand what triggered these feelings. This reflection can provide valuable insights into your emotional patterns and triggers. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is a powerful reminder that our reactions to our emotions can shape our experiences. Instead of being reactive, we can choose to respond in a way that is constructive and healing. Developing emotional resilience is a journey. It involves practicing mindfulness, self-reflection, and patience. It's about building a toolkit of coping strategies like journaling, talking to a trusted friend, or practicing relaxation techniques. Most importantly, it's about treating yourself with kindness and compassion as you navigate through your emotions. Emotional resilience is not about never feeling negative emotions. It's about learning to ride the waves of those emotions with grace and coming out on the other side stronger and more self-aware. By developing emotional resilience, we empower ourselves to face life's challenges with courage and poise. Let's embrace this journey together, supporting each other in becoming more emotionally resilient and ultimately living a more fulfilling life. The Stoics, including great minds like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, used this concept not to create fear, but to inspire a deeper appreciation for every moment. They believed that by keeping the inevitability of death in mind, we would live more fully, consciously, and with gratitude for the present. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the transience of life, encouraging us to live in a way that's true to our values and to make the most of the time we're given. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think, he wrote. This isn't about being morose. It's a call to action, a reminder to focus on what truly matters. Memento mori, remember you will die. To let go of petty concerns and to live with purpose and integrity. Seneca too spoke about the shortness of life, urging us not to waste time on trivialities, but to focus on creating a meaningful existence. He believed that being mindful of death encourages us to live more wisely and to cherish our relationships and experiences. Epictetus emphasized the importance of focusing on the present and making the best use of our time. By remembering that we won't live forever, we're more likely to live ethically and to appreciate the beauty and richness of life. But how can we incorporate memento mori into our own lives without it feeling like a dark cloud over our heads? It starts with shifting our perspective. Instead of seeing the awareness of death as something fearful, we can view it as a powerful motivator to live our lives to the fullest. It's about embracing the present, not postponing our dreams or happiness for some undefined future that's not guaranteed. Think about the things you've been putting off. Maybe it's pursuing a passion, reconnecting with loved ones, or simply taking time to appreciate the small joys of everyday life. Memento mori reminds us not to take our time for granted. It encourages us to live more authentically, to say what we mean, to love openly, and to be present in our lives. This concept also teaches us to appreciate the impermanence of life, which in turn deepens our gratitude for the moments we have. When we remember that our time is limited, we're more likely to cherish our experiences, to live more mindfully, and to express our gratitude for the people and moments that enrich our lives. So let's use memento mori not as a source of fear, but as a catalyst for growth, gratitude, and a deeper appreciation of life. Let it remind us to make choices that align with our deepest values, to cherish our relationships, and to savor the beauty of the present moment. Remembering that we will die one day encourages us to live more fully today. In embracing memento mori, we find a powerful reminder to live not in fear of death, but in celebration of life. Let's make every moment count, not because we're afraid of its end, but because we're in love with life itself. Let's live in a way that when our time does come, we can look back with no regrets, knowing we lived fully, loved deeply, and appreciated the incredible journey that life is. It's fascinating how such a simple concept can have a profound impact on our lives. It's about shifting our focus to what we have rather than dwelling on what we're missing. This practice can be a real game changer, especially on those days that feel like an uphill battle. The Stoics, wise as they were, had a lot to say about gratitude. They believed that happiness doesn't come from having more, but from appreciating what we already have. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the importance of focusing on the present and finding joy in the simple things. He said, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This is gratitude in its purest form, recognizing the value of life itself and the many gifts it offers us each day. Practicing gratitude. Seneca talked about how our desires can lead us astray, always chasing after more and never finding true satisfaction. He suggested that by focusing on what we have and understanding that the best things in life are already within our grasp, we can find real contentment. Epictetus, known for his practical approach to Stoic philosophy, encouraged his followers to appreciate their current circumstances, whatever they might be. He believed that by accepting and finding value in our present situation, we could live a more fulfilled life. But how do we practice gratitude, especially when life throws curveballs our way? It starts with making it a daily habit. Each morning or evening, take a moment to reflect on 3 things you're grateful for. It could be as simple as a warm cup of coffee, a conversation with a friend, or the beauty of a sunset. This practice helps to rewire our brains to focus on the positive, boosting our mood and overall outlook on life. Gratitude also means embracing the challenges and finding lessons within them. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we can ask, "What can I learn from this?" This shift in perspective can help us appreciate our experiences, both good and bad, as valuable steps on our journey. Moreover, practicing gratitude helps us build stronger connections with others. By expressing appreciation for the people in our lives, we not only brighten their day, but also strengthen our relationships. A simple thank you can go a long way in showing someone that they're valued and loved. Aristotle spoke about the importance of recognizing the good in our lives and striving for a virtuous life. He believed that gratitude was a key part of achieving eudaimonia, or true happiness, as it allows us to appreciate the goodness around us and within ourselves. Even modern psychology supports the benefits of gratitude. Studies have shown that people who practice gratitude regularly experience less anxiety, sleep better, and have a more positive outlook on life. It's like Carl Jung said, the word happiness would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. By acknowledging and being grateful for the full spectrum of our experiences, we find a deeper, more authentic form of happiness. So let's make gratitude a cornerstone of our daily lives. Let's celebrate the small victories, cherish the moments of connection, and find joy in the simple pleasures. By focusing on what we have, not what we're missing, we can cultivate a sense of abundance and happiness that shines from within. Remember, it's not happiness that brings us gratitude. It's gratitude that brings us happiness. Let's fill our glasses half full, raise them high, and toast to the beauty of gratitude in our lives. Cheers to finding the silver lining, even on the cloudiest of days. The Stoics had a profound understanding of personal excellence. They believed that excellence, or virtue, is the sole good, and that everything we do should aim towards living a virtuous life. Marcus Aurelius, for instance, is a prime example of someone who strived for personal excellence. He once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This simple yet powerful statement encapsulates the essence of personal excellence. It's about embodying the values we admire and striving to live by them every day. Focusing on personal excellence. Seneca emphasized the importance of self-improvement and learning. He advocated for a life lived in accordance with nature and reason, suggesting that true excellence comes from within and is reflected in our actions and choices. Epictetus highlighted the role of personal responsibility in achieving excellence. He taught that our reactions, our emotions, and our will are within our control, and mastering them is key to living a life of virtue. But what does focusing on personal excellence look like in our day-to-day lives? It starts with setting personal standards based on our values and aspirations, not societal expectations or the achievements of others. It's about knowing who we are, understanding our strengths and weaknesses, and taking consistent steps towards improvement. Personal excellence is also about resilience. It's about how we respond to setbacks and failures, not just our successes. Like Aristotle said, excellence is never an accident. It is always the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. It represents the wise choice of many alternatives. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. This means embracing challenges as opportunities to learn and grow, rather than seeing them as obstacles. Moreover, focusing on personal excellence involves cultivating a growth mindset, a concept championed by modern psychology. It's the belief that our abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication and hard work. This mindset encourages us to embrace challenges, persist in the face of setbacks, and see effort as a path to mastery. Personal excellence also means living authentically. It's about being true to ourselves and our values, even when it's not easy. It's about making choices that reflect who we are and who we want to be, and taking pride in our journey, including the struggles and the triumphs. Practicing gratitude, as we discussed earlier, ties into personal excellence too. By appreciating what we have and where we are on our journey, we foster a positive outlook that supports our growth and well-being. So let's commit to focusing on personal excellence. Let's set our own standards, embrace our unique paths, and take pride in our progress. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being proud of who we are and how we live. It's about celebrating our efforts, learning from our experiences, and always striving to be the best versions of ourselves. Together, let's make personal excellence not just a goal, but a way of life. In a world saturated with social media, where likes, follows, and comments often dictate our self-worth, it's easy to fall into the trap of valuing ourselves through the lens of others' opinions. But here's a liberating truth. Your worth isn't based on external validation. It's about being true to yourself, embracing your authenticity, and living in alignment with your values. The Stoics, those ancient philosophers we keep turning to for timeless wisdom, had a lot to say about this. They taught that our inner peace and freedom come from focusing on what's within our control, our actions, our thoughts, our integrity, not the fluctuating opinions of others. Not caring what others think. Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, "I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, but yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinions of others." This striking observation highlights the paradox many of us live with, valuing others' judgments over our own self-assessment. Seneca echoed this sentiment by emphasizing the importance of living a life true to oneself, not one shaped by the expectations or approval of others. He believed that true contentment comes from within, from living a life that's congruent with our principles and values. Epictetus taught that worrying about others' opinions is outside our control and therefore not worth our energy. He encouraged focusing instead on our own actions and on living virtuously, as that's where our true power lies. So how can we start caring less about what others think and more about being true to ourselves? First, it's about understanding that you are the author of your life story. You have the power to define your worth, not society, not your social media followers, nor the people around you. It's about grounding your self-esteem in who you are, the values you stand for, the kindness you spread, and the effort you put into being your best self. Second, practice self-reflection. Ask yourself, whose life am I living? Am I making choices based on my desires, or am I trying to fit into someone else's mold? Reflecting on these questions can help realign your actions with your true self. Third, embrace vulnerability. Being true to yourself means being open about your flaws and all, understanding that perfection is an illusion. It's okay to be a work in progress, making mistakes and learning from them. This authenticity attracts the right people into your life, those who appreciate the real you. Moreover, remember the words of Aristotle, who spoke about the golden mean, finding balance in life. Applying this to our concern for others' opinions, it's about finding a healthy balance between considering constructive feedback and maintaining our autonomy and self-worth. Incorporating a Stoic mindset into our lives means understanding that our worth is determined by our virtues, our actions, and our commitment to living a meaningful life, not by external accolades or approval. It's about building a strong inner fortress that remains unshaken by the fleeting opinions of others. Let's commit to valuing ourselves for who we truly are, not for the likes, follows, or approval we receive. Let's be courageous in our authenticity, living lives that resonate with our deepest truths. Remember, your worth is inherent and unique, and by being true to yourself, you shine your light in the most genuine way possible. Let's not just navigate life, but thrive in it, with the confidence that comes from knowing we are living authentically, aligned with our values and true to ourselves. Here's the thing. Accepting change is not just necessary, it's vital for our growth and happiness. The reality is, the only constant in life is change. Learning to go with the flow and embrace life's inevitable shifts makes navigating through them less scary and more of an adventure. The Stoics, accepting change, had an incredibly healthy perspective on change. They saw it as a natural part of the universe's rhythm. Marcus Aurelius said, "Accept whatever comes to you woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs?" This profound acceptance of change as part of the fabric of life helps us understand that each change, whether we perceive it as good or bad, has its place in our story. Seneca taught that becoming too attached to our current circumstances can lead to disappointment, because inevitably those circumstances will change. He advised us to be flexible and to understand that change is not just a part of life, but a necessary component of our personal development and happiness. Epictetus encouraged us to distinguish between what we can control and what we can't. He pointed out that while we can't control external events, we can control our attitudes towards them. This mindset is incredibly empowering when it comes to dealing with change. It's about focusing on our responses, finding the opportunities for growth within the change, and moving forward with resilience. But how can we become more accepting of change? First, by acknowledging that change is inevitable. It's the natural order of things. Everything around us is in a constant state of flux. Seasons change, people come and go, and our very cells are renewing themselves as we speak. Embracing change means embracing life itself. Second, by practicing mindfulness. Being present in the moment allows us to appreciate our current experiences without clinging to them. This awareness creates a space for acceptance when those experiences inevitably evolve or come to an end. Third, by seeking the lessons in change. Every shift in our lives, no matter how challenging, comes with opportunities to learn and grow. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we can ask, "What can I learn from this?" This shift in perspective can turn the challenges of change into stepping stones for personal development. Aristotle spoke about the importance of pursuing a virtuous life as the key to happiness. Part of virtue is adaptability, the ability to navigate life's changes with grace and wisdom. It's about finding balance and harmony within the flux of life. Modern psychology supports this Stoic approach to change. Viewing change as an opportunity rather than a threat can significantly reduce our stress and anxiety levels. It can enhance our resilience, making us better equipped to handle whatever life throws our way. Let's remind ourselves that change is not just something to endure, but to welcome as a natural, enriching part of our journey. By accepting change, we open ourselves to new experiences, growth, and the beautiful unfolding of our unique paths in life. Remember, going with the flow isn't about passivity. It's about actively engaging with life in its full, dynamic complexity. Let's navigate the currents of change with courage, grace, and a heart open to the endless possibilities that change brings. Despite our differences, we're all in this together, navigating the complex journey of life. By fostering an understanding and caring attitude towards others, we contribute to making the world a kinder. Practicing compassion and empathy. More loving place. The Stoics, those ancient philosophers who continue to enlighten us with their timeless wisdom, placed great importance on the virtues of compassion and empathy. They believed in the interconnectedness of all humans and taught that kindness and understanding towards others are essential aspects of living a virtuous life. Marcus Aurelius, for instance, reminded us that human beings are social creatures by nature, meant to live in harmony and cooperation with one another. He said, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee." This beautifully illustrates the idea that our well-being is intrinsically linked to the well-being of others. Seneca emphasized the importance of treating others with kindness and generosity. He argued that compassion is a natural human instinct and that by helping others, we also help ourselves. In his writings, Seneca encourages us to extend our empathy even to those who have wronged us, understanding that they too are acting out of their own struggles and limitations. Epictetus taught that we should strive to understand others' perspectives, recognizing that everyone has their reasons for their actions. This doesn't mean condoning harmful behavior, but rather approaching others with a mindset of empathy, seeking to understand their experiences and viewpoints. But how can we practice compassion and empathy in our daily lives? It starts with listening, truly listening to the stories, experiences, and feelings of those around us. It's about putting ourselves in their shoes, imagining their struggles, their joys, their fears, and their hopes. This act of understanding can bridge the gap between us, fostering a sense of connection and shared humanity. Another way to cultivate compassion and empathy is through acts of kindness, no matter how small. A smile, a kind word, a listening ear. These can all make a significant difference in someone's day. By being present and attentive to others, we signal that they matter, that their feelings and experiences are valid and important. Practicing compassion and empathy also means being there for others in times of need, offering support and understanding without judgment. It's about recognizing the value and dignity of every person, regardless of our differences. The ancient philosopher Aristotle spoke about the importance of friendship and the role of empathy in building strong, meaningful relationships. He believed that true friends not only share in each other's joys, but also in their sorrows, supporting each other with empathy and understanding. Modern psychology supports the Stoic emphasis on compassion and empathy, showing that these virtues not only enhance our relationships, but also our own emotional well-being. By caring for others, we foster a sense of belonging, purpose, and happiness in our own lives. Let's remind ourselves that behind every face is a story, behind every action is a reason, and that by understanding and caring for each other, we make the world a kinder, gentler place. In doing so, we not only enrich the lives of those around us, but also find deeper fulfillment and joy in our own lives. Together, let's spread kindness like confetti, creating ripples of compassion that transform the world, one act of empathy at a time. Reflecting and reviewing regularly. This is about taking a pause, a real, meaningful pause, to look back on our actions, our thoughts, and the paths we've tread. It's about growth, introspection, and aligning our lives with our deepest values. In a world that's always rushing forward, this practice is our anchor, ensuring we're not just being swept away, but are sailing in the direction that's true to us. The Stoics, with their profound insights into human nature, placed immense value on the practice of reflection. Marcus Aurelius, in his personal writings, which we now treasure as meditations, offered a model of this practice. He didn't just rule an empire. He took the time to examine his life, his decisions, and his moral compass. Through writing, he saw this reflection as essential to living a life of virtue and purpose. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, he wrote, reminding us that our internal dialogue shapes our external reality. Seneca recommended regular self-assessment as a way to foster self-improvement and wisdom. He likened life to a play, suggesting that we periodically review our roles and performances. Are we acting in harmony with the character we wish to embody? Are our actions reflective of the script we value, the script of our lives? Epictetus encouraged his students to end each day with a review of their actions and attitudes. This wasn't about self-criticism, but about self-awareness and growth. He urged us to ask ourselves, what did I do well? What did I do wrong? What duties left undone? Through such questions, we can steer our lives more consciously, making adjustments that bring us closer to our ideals. But how do we incorporate this Stoic practice of reflection and review into our modern lives? First, by making it a habit. Dedicate a few minutes each day, perhaps before bedtime, to reflect on your day. What were your victories? Where did you face challenges, and how did you respond? This practice can start as a mental exercise, but writing it down can enhance its benefits, giving you a tangible record of your journey. Second, use reflection as a tool for gratitude. In reviewing your day, also take note of the moments, no matter how small, that brought you joy or gratitude. This balances our natural tendency to focus on the negative, cultivating a more positive outlook on life. Third, approach this practice with kindness. Reflection is not about berating yourself for mistakes, but about recognizing them as opportunities for learning and growth. Be as understanding and supportive to yourself as you would be to a dear friend. Aristotle spoke about the importance of living a reflective life. He believed that true wisdom comes from understanding ourselves, our actions, and our place in the world. This reflection is the essence of living an examined life, one that's in accordance with virtue and excellence. In modern psychology, the benefits of regular reflection are well documented, showing improvements in mental health, clarity of purpose, and personal growth. Reflecting on our experiences helps us process emotions, learn from our actions, and make more informed decisions moving forward. Let's commit to this practice of reflecting and reviewing regularly. Let it be our guidepost, ensuring that we're not just passively experiencing life, but actively shaping it according to our values. By taking the time to look back, we gain the insight needed to move forward more aligned, more aware, and more in tune with the essence of who we are and who we aspire to be. Let's cherish this journey of introspection, for it is in knowing ourselves that we find the path to true fulfillment and joy. Each of these lessons from Stoicism isn't just ancient wisdom. They're life hacks that can help us deal with stress, make better decisions, and find peace in chaos. Remember, it's not the challenges along the way that define us, but the strength we find in facing them, the wisdom we gather, and the compassion we share. Each step, each reflection, each act of kindness is a brushstroke in the masterpiece that is your life. So let's not just exist, let's live vibrantly, purposefully, authentically. As we part ways today, I encourage you not to let the inspiration end here. On the screen, you'll find a playlist that's a treasure trove of wisdom, stories, and strategies to help you navigate life's twists and turns with grace and resilience. Click on it, dive deeper, and continue to sculpt the most authentic version of yourself. Together, let's keep growing, keep reflecting, and keep embracing the beautiful complexity of life. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Until we meet again, remember to live not just for the applause, but for the cause of being your most genuine self. Take care and see you on the next step of our journey.